I just gotta say for a second here, Parker, it's crazy to me that the community gave DarkZero SR a 50-50 prediction almost exactly when DarkZero has like 20 years of history destroying Shopify Rebellion. And now today, against M80, in my opinion, the most even matchup that we're going to see all playoffs. Two Titans going head-to-head where it's actually a coin flip result. They're all just going to go back to major champions. Whatever. The community can vote however they'd like. We'll get to see how it turns out in the server. And I'm so excited to see how these games play out. Laxing predicted information bans from DarkZero here in the early phase, and it looks like he was right. That's the snake being taken off the board immediately. It'll force Gavin to jump on a new entry fragger here to attack. And then they remove that Ying as well. So going to make it a little bit more difficult to go for those direct hits, as Ashen will play a little bit of that Ying from time to time.
Absolutely correct. No Ying means it's a lot harder to crack open certain parts of this map. You've seen it time and time again. Ying is excellent for taking control early and can also have some huge impact on the site hits. It's also been, for those that have not been following along, there have been a host of changes that was discussed yesterday on the broadcast. Operators that received buffs, Zofia, Wamai, and Jaeger, and we've seen both Jaeger and Zofia's pick rates shoot up because of that. In terms of nerfs, Ubisoft, to their credit, have not been nerfing very much as of late, but Dokkaebi was a little too strong, so they nerfed her ever so slightly, which doesn't really make her less effective, Jesse, but certainly changes her prominence. As you can see on the side of M80, they are locked in with operators that were untouched before these mid-season changes went live.
Yeah, and I really like the operator bans as well from M80. Mira's whatever, but Tachanka is specifically an NJR counter. DZ have this really powerful smoke Tachanka duo strat that Kino and NJR will play here on Lair. They'll play it mid-floor on Bunk's briefing and, of course, on the top floor. It is so annoying to try to get past. It's so much stall, so they'll take some of that away from DarkZero. And then they'll try to change things up a little bit. NJR is going to flex over to the Kaid with his Tachanka gone. They're going to pair this with the Tuberao. So instead of stalling you out with Toxic Babes and Fire Grenades, they're just going to stall out your wall breaching. I like that.
Diffuser got in the building very, very fast and is droning himself at this point in time, which is something that we usually wag our finger at, I suppose you could say. Typically want some backup there because you're exposed and vulnerable. And again, the stuff that you're droning is usually only good for about 5 seconds or so. Zoto Canister is going to keep this wall in operation safe for the time being. Of course, it will eventually run out.
I mean, this is what I'm saying, though. With the Kaid plus Tuberao and the Goyos and the smoke, like, this is going to be a slow burn of a round. I'd be shocked to see anybody die before that 60-second mark, Parker. So expect this one to drag on a bit. We do have a double shield comp coming out from M80 as well, with Ashen and Savage going to be running this. Savage will be the real spear point. He's going to be trying to get a plant in, likely through that. He's in storage hall right now, so we'll see where he wants to put that down. Ashen can kind of just be a force of chaos at some point in the midst of this. He falls. He's about 50% damage from a Goyo canister. That's a rare mistake from the DarkZero captain.
Yeah, not ideal. Kino up top now is he's got a good line of sight and some kill holes with the double TCSG up there as well. More damage is being done, and that's Newer's getting the very first kill onto Ashen. Down goes Diffuser. Newer's finding 2. That's Gavin with 2 now as well, very quickly going back. Fire in front. Gunners just simply trying to wait this one out. Final minute.
What do you even do at this point? You've lost your back pressure, Parker. They can't get this wall open. They might be able to get it open. They do find the EMP onto the claw for the second time around, so they can get the plant spot open and ready for business. But there's still going to be a Toxic Babe from Kino. There's still going to be some pressure with the flanks coming in. They've got to be so perfect.
NJR takes down Savage. Gunner trades NJR right back. Immediately scoots over to pick up the defuse kit. 25 seconds left on the board. A precarious spot. A little bit worried about possibly getting electrified, but also able to open up the wall so he can waltz his way out of that position. But DZ was circling around him, and they were going to pinch him no matter what. An unwinnable situation for M80 as DZ look ever so confident in the closing moments of that first round.
So, Parker, we didn't get to discuss the map bans very much, obviously, here on the cast, but I want to bring it up now because there is a very real possibility that M80 has just walked headfirst into a trap. This is their map pick. They chose to come here on Lair, and I don't dislike that pick from M80. They have a 4-1 record this season on this map. They really like playing on Lair. There's no doubt that this is a good map for them. But you know what's better than a 4-1 record? A 5-0 record, and that's what DarkZero have on this map this season. This is a very good map for DZ as well, and while they've played it a lot recently, and that means there's a lot of footage, clearly M80 have been watching that footage, they banned the Tachanka, they know what they're doing. I'm worried the DZ Strapbook might be a little too late, because that last round was a masterclass of setup from DarkZero. Despite not having their usual tools available, you saw kills with Goyo canisters, you saw kills with Thorn Traps, you saw the Electroclaw delaying a bunch of time, you saw all of the utility being brought by DarkZero having huge impact, and it was not all brand new, but more or less a new strategy that M80 have not really come to expect, because DarkZero have just been so reliant on the Smoke Tachanka or Warden Tachanka setup that they like to run on the top floor. M80, I think we're hoping to counter-strat DZ a little bit in this game, and just off of that first round, I'm worried the Strapbook might be deeper than they anticipated.
Jesse, you used the word worry. Why are you worried?
Well, because this is M80's map pick, and if they lose it, we might have a quick 2-0. And given the desk was worried about a 7-0 right before this game started, you know, I would like that to be avoided.
All right.
I'm reloading.
I've deemed that acceptable.
Thanks.
Your reasoning and rationale noted, accepted, and now we move on in peace together. See, Jesse, after yesterday when I said it's really nice to cast with you, and you said that it was not, and that you were hoping to finish as quickly as possible, it awoke something in me, which is nice in tarot, where I intend to be nice to you all day today.
Really? Okay.
No, not at all. I couldn't stomach that one bit. I value honesty.
Cover me.
Good to have you back. You scared me for a second there, Parker. I was worried.
It's good to be back, man. You talked about the double shield and how impactful it could be. They have abandoned that for this round. Savage will go on to Blitz. The Monty, of course, still available. And as we saw in the previous round, DZ spread out well across the map and very close to the entry points for this M80 aggression.
Yeah, this top floor clear is going to be the focus, as it oh so often is. They're using these EMPs to deal with the Electric Claws. That should, with the Zoto canister, not quite be there. So they don't have, of course, the Zoto this time around. Newers moved over to the Demise. So they're going to have a little bit more utility to try to keep these players safe, but the walls will get opened up without any issues. Toxic Babe still being burned out. This is the problem with this top floor bomb site, Parker. There is so much util that you have to burn through that it's going to give them very little time to hit the site.
Well, you need to start getting a bit aggressive. They understood the mission. Gavin with the lead-off kill, but DZ's guns are hitting their marks. Those two SMG-11s getting put to good use. And M80 loses two bodies. Savage has found an opportunity to get the defuse kit down, but there's no coverage as Kino shreds him from above. All 3 kills from DarkZero so far in the hands of those SMG-11s. Ashen tearing through everybody, by the way, but it's the top floor control which will be their undoing. Gunner thought he had a window of opportunity to get the defuse kit planted. He does not. And now it's Ashen to pick up the pieces. Got 30 seconds to go here, but nigh unwinnable, I say, unless he can get a quick pick and force DarkZero to rotate. You've got NJR close enough to the bomb site. Newer still lording over top of it. His defuse kit's been retrieved. Ashen will attempt it to try to draw them out, but DZ know better than this. A very patient team, and NJR's just waiting in the wings. Ashen not expecting that, and DarkZero starts off 2-0.
Beautifully done. That's the power of this Bunks Briefing bomb site, Parker. The entire site could be held from above. So what do they do on the side of DarkZero? They just commit to that top floor hold. They deny that plant when it's going down. And the goal from M80, of course, was to distract those top floor players as they're pushing in. But without that Ying available to you especially, it gets really difficult to draw all of the attention your way. So DarkZero did a really good job keeping their eye on the prize, spotting out some of those players down below. Of course, it definitely helps that they were winning some of their fights up top here. Despite Faults going down as the opening pick, they were always able to find that defuse kit as it was going down below. And it just feels like a bit of a slow start from M80. I mean, DarkZero are playing these defenses really well. They're using their util, and it feels like M80 aren't able to problem solve. It was a bit of a slow start yesterday versus Wildcard. Then I don't know what the sleep schedule is looking like for these gamers, but it looks like another slow start early in the morning today.
It is tremendously early. We woke up for our call time, Jesse, because of course it's not about the players, it's about us, the casters. We woke up for our call time at, for me, 9 a.m. For you, what time was it?
7 a.m. for me.
And if you're on the West Coast, it was 6 a.m. That is some real nasty business, I will say. Gamers go to bed at 6 a.m. They don't wake up at 6 a.m. So I have no doubt that some of these players might be a little bit eepy, but I think most of M80 is still playing out of Windsor. I don't know if they've been able to move around or not, and of course, no player cam, so we can't even assess whether they are in the same location that they've been in through most of the day. I agree with your point earlier, by the way. M80's executes just a bit too linear. You know that the defenders are going to have top floor control. You know that. You assess that. You drone that out, and yet you still went for the site, hoping to get a quick one off. I will say credit to Savage after they lost both Gavin and Diffuser pretty early on, that he said, maybe I can just sneak a quick little objective down here. Stylistically, I don't hate it. It's just DZ are not the type of team to let that go unpunished.
Turns this round into a near must-win for M80. You can't let the defense start the game off with a perfect rotation, not when it's your map pick, not when the stakes are this high here in the lower bracket finals. It will be a pretty direct take going through the garage here. Savage, the spearhead on the Monty once again. Everybody from DarkZero has fallen off the roam. They started with a couple of players up there on the mid floor, but they've all fallen back down to the basement, as I think they've assessed where this push is coming from M80. Savage actually backing up and going for a bit of a rotate. This is an interesting call from the M80 captain. Could be going over towards the yellow stairs, try to get a different angle on these garage players. Again, there is nobody up here, so this would be a free rotation from Savage, and he is not headed lobby side. He's going to actually move over towards that armor side of the map, it seems. Or not. He just keeps going back and forth. That's okay, Savage. Take your time. Take your time. Pick whatever you'd like.
Just a swift correction there for you immediately, as Savage has other ideas.
All right.
Diffuse kit in hand, final minute. If you were worried about M80 potentially stalling out, well, it is rearing its ugly head yet again in this third round. DarkZero so far has been in pretty firm control, and I have to suspect that if this round goes poorly, we might see a timeout get called somewhat early. The mayor swings, down goes Gunner. DZ starting off strong yet again. Fultz traded out, an opportunity at the Ella will slip through their fingers, but Ashen yet again, just as he did in the previous round, will pick up a double kill. You've lost Savage though, Jesse. That's not ideal to lose your shield and the defuse kit.
Yeah, Ashen across the map is doing some good work, but Parker, that's not really where the brunt of this push is. He's making his way inside of lockers now. He can group up with Gavin, who has defuse kit, and Diffuser is across the map to provide this pinch, so they have to work together on this 3v3.
Ashen taken care of by Newers. DarkZero now with the numbers advantage. Newers finds two. J90 amidst the smoke gets another. And DZ start off with a perfect 3-0 site rotation. Predictions, Jesse. You think M80's calling their timeout?
I would expect it from Fabian, yes. Again, it just feels like they're a little bit slow to start this game. We'll get the bans through first, then we'll find out if there will be a timeout or not. But again, on this push, Parker, it just feels like they're not getting very much value out of Savage on the shield. Savage had a really rough game one yesterday up against Wildcard, went 1-8 in their opening matchup. And Mint said on the desk, actually, that there was a lot of miscoordination going on where Savage and the rest of the team weren't on the same page. The comms were a big issue for M80 early in that game. Of course, the viewers and also you and I, Parker, we don't get to hear those comms, but it's great that we have the analysts breaking that down. Here comes the tack timeout from our three-time world champion head coach Fabian for M80 to try to get things back on track, but I wonder if it's those same issues coming back into things. I'd love to hear the desk's thoughts on this at the halftime. Is it, again, Savage being a bit disconnected with his teammates? Because it feels like him on the shield has been really low value so far in this game.
Not a lot of good looks for M80. I mean, if you discount those two double kills that Ashen got, which were entirely impactless and had no bearing on the end result of those rounds, you're looking at a very unhealthy team from a kill perspective. I know that we joked about it, but do look at the pings on your screen. Gunner is playing from the West Coast. That's why he's sitting at 80 ping. Diffuser, I'm not entirely certain, but it might actually genuinely be too early for some of these players. You know, there was, I think it was TSM at an event once, had every single day their match was the first game of the day, and they openly said, we're tired. Like, we're not used to waking up this early. And they always did better after map one was concluded. I know that we joke about it, but scheduling changes can impact a team. Absolutely. And I mean, you just need to hang around people who haven't slept well or not slept enough. That crankiness and all that comes with it can absolutely cause some friction there. So M80 obviously not liking this position. It's their map, Jesse. You said you were a little worried for them. I think your worries are well founded right now as DarkZero is steadily running away with this map.
3-0 now here, a scary predicament to be in. You mentioned Diffuser as well. I mean, he was a guy that also, I think, struggled a little bit yesterday. I talked about Savage bad stats, but even Diffuser, like 7 and 18 in his role, that's not really what you're looking for out of him. Diffuser is one of these entry flex players on M80. You expect him to be getting good numbers, getting into the action, getting engaged. Now 0-3 to start this series. We know how talented he is. I mean, this guy won a major with M80. He's one of the best to do it. Came out of that Element game a little while ago too. I think Element 2 he was the champion of with that old NV squad, not ENVY, but just NV. He's had a really nice career so far, has been doing so much at such a young age, but these last couple days we just haven't been seeing his best. If Diffuser wakes up, it feels like that might be the answer for M80 to start getting rounds back on the board.
Well, yeah, I mean, their big offensive threats aren't doing anything from the kills department, right? You've got guys like Diffuser, you got guys like Ashen. Ashen, for crying out loud, consistently at the very top or competing at the very top of the NAL from a stats perspective. And again, he's had his moments, but the rest of the team around him, the supporting cast, has just not quite been there. I don't know exactly what Fabian would have talked about during that timeout. He himself likely suffering from some sleep deprivation as he had a child, if you recall, all the way back when Salt Lake City was going on. So I'm assuming there's very little sleeping in the Halston house, but either way, M80 does need to figure this one out, and I think you're correct. Diffuser is a big part of that. If he can start getting some kills, if Gunnar can start getting some kills and kickstart this offense, M80, there we go, might have a shot, and Gunnar gets 2 as J90 and NJR get taken apart by Gunnar. Excellent beginning for M80.
It's the West Coast boy at 8 a.m. who's finding these frags. That's exactly what you need from M80. He's got the fuse kit as well, so if he goes down, it's a little bit risky, but inside of Ops should be in a safe spot. Diffuser, the other man in the hour we were talking about in a good moment, but Newers instead jumps right out the bathroom and takes the teeth out of the backside of that push. Really nice play.
Well, Savage and Diffuser still searching for their very first kill. Gunner's going to kill them all. He's got 3 kills so far in this round, living on borrowed time as he needs to evade that Razor Bloom, and he does not do so. Newers has 3 of his own as well. We were on Ace Watch with both of these players. That will not be had for Gunnar as he's put in the ground. One of the 2 remaining players on M80 will need to break the zeros next to their name, or else this round goes kaput. It's a great opportunity for Newers. Down goes Diffuser, looking for Savage. 1 away. His teammate J90 got an ace yesterday. Can Newers join? No! Savage shuts him down. The ace denied. And Fultz and Savage will now engage in a 1v1. Savage shrugging off some damage from that TCSG. Fultz just needs to play fadeaway and will dance around the flames. Eating some damage in the process as Savage races to go get the Diffuser. He's going to be very exposed right here, about to run out of time. Fultz needs to play the clock very appropriately, and he will do just that. Savage, no real opportunity, but a relatively close round for M80. Still breaks in favor of the major champs. They're up 4-0.
Smart play by both captains in that 1v1, Parker, but of course the situation just favoring Fultz. He played that in such a way where he could not lose it. Really well played by him. Savage does his best in the 1v2, but ultimately it is all for naught. It's Ethan James with the 4K. Newers really steps up in that one. I'm a little confused what happened with the Thorn Trap on Gunnar. I'm not going to lie. It looked like he had shot it as the indicator went away, but then it came back. So unlucky for Gunnar in the midst of that after a really good start for him. That's the one right there I was talking about. But regardless, it's a quad for Newers. 9-2 now will be his stat line early in this game, 4 rounds deep. A phenomenal start for the star entry of DarkZero. We're starting to continue to, we're just continuing to spiral, really, Parker. That's 4 straight rounds now from DarkZero. The tack timeout, ineffective for M80.
DarkZero well situated to go over to Labs. Their pick, which will be the second map. Cafe is the decider if needed. For those that didn't tune into yesterday's matches, we didn't need a map 3 whatsoever. In fact, even saying map 3 got you vaporized because of how quick our play day ultimately was. For those that didn't follow the matchup, Wildcard end the regular season, at least the stage 1 portion of it, in 3rd place. It was M80's championship to lose, I suppose you could say, with DZ nipping at their heels, and yet Wildcard vanquished both of them en route to a grand final. Starting in the upper bracket, Wildcard beat DZ about a week or two ago and then destroyed M80 yesterday in a very, very quick matchup. 7-2, 7-5, and now Wildcard playing when this match concludes. DarkZero going down to the lower bracket, beating For Fun, then dismantling Shopify Rebellion yesterday, and now looking for a solid bounce back. What a story it's been for this Wildcard team, as they have always been decent domestically, but internationally is where they've shined. Well, domestically, they're dominating now, and this is a scary-looking team in a region that is showing a level of dominance we haven't seen in almost a full decade.
Yeah, it'll be really exciting to see Wildcard play in those grand finals. That'll be later today. After this game, the winner will play that, but not before a little NAL award show to buy some time for the winner of this game to get their bearings back and prepare for their second BO3 of the day. For now, though, all eyes are focused on DarkZero and M80. And unlike the last time where M80 put a lot of pressure up on the top floor, this time they are really just full sending it for the bottom. They are not going to clear out these rumors up above. Their goal in this round, Parker, is just to sneak a plant down below. They've got Capitao smoke bolts. They've got Sens walls from Savage. They've got all sorts of distractions and even EMPs from Ashen to stop this Warden. So there's a lot of util being dedicated just to getting this plant down on M80.
And that's a great pick to take care of Newers. All 9 of his kills put in the ground. The rest of the team has 10. Newers has been leading the way and picking up multi-kill after multi-kill after multi-kill, usually in the mid-round. Diffuser almost dying there, still searching for his first kill. Execute at a moment's notice here, Jesse. Out go the ROU projectors. I fear that the first one might have missed, which isn't very ideal at all. What remains of Diffuser taken out by Fultz as we're starting to see some action unfold. Gunner getting yet another. He's been sensational the last 2 rounds. It's not been able to affect things for M80, but they are now looking at their very first successful round. They've just got to find Fultz and J90. Savage on the cross will get one, and J90 coverage from above, not good enough. He trades out Gunner, but there's still plenty alive on the side of M80, and they get their first round.
What a weird round it was. I guess you don't... They don't ask how, Parker. They just ask that you get it, and certainly they do on M80. It's, again, Gunner, who starts us off with a little double kill, just like the previous round. It seems like since the tag timeout, Gunner has really been the engine driving M80 forward. A nice couple of kills there onto Newers and Kino to break that one wide open. Gunner was pushing up above after he got that wall open down towards Pillar. And then, yeah, the util was not exactly where it needed to be. I didn't see any Sens walls actually inside the site from Savage, so the plant was kind of all for naught, I should say. Might have gotten impacted out by NJR too, but regardless, they didn't have the ability to go for a plant, so they kind of had to rely back on their kills. Thankfully, the frags were good from M80, and after some bad movements from DarkZero, they do get on the board 4-1, but still a rough spot to be in. DarkZero with all the momentum regardless of that last round.
It just took them some time to be able to find their footing. A close round after their timeout. Let's not discount them there. They called the timeout after round number 3. They got to a 1v1 and ultimately just ran afoul of the clock, this time showing a little bit more strength. And I mean, you said it yourself. If somebody like Gunner that wakes up, they start taking matters into their own hands, M80 can thrive off of that. You're going to struggle as a team if your entry players are not getting those kills. Now, Gunner's not a typical entry on this M80 squad, especially when he's playing Heartbreach duty. It's quite bad, actually, to gamble a Thermite before you're able to get your exothermic charges down. And yet he's still making tons of space for the team. And we're talking about now, well, while we're in a tech pause, if we're talking about how these players stack up, it was a good day for the DarkZero team yesterday. Ashen still sits atop the leaderboard in terms of EPS. He is the #1 rated player in the league, but right behind him are Newers and J90. Go down to 5th. There's Gavin. So 4 of the top 5 rated players are currently in this lobby. Then you find NJR down at 9th, and it's a ways down until you get to the next player which would be Fultz. Gunner himself is dead even in the middle of the pack, 25th of 50 rated players. So while he doesn't have the best overall rating, I think it's fair to say he plays one of the more challenging roles on this team. It's a role that oftentimes lands you in hot water if you don't do well. Gunner is no stranger to community criticism, but he does his job, he does it very well, and if M80 is able to play around that, they are a team that can easily beat the best of the best, as we saw with them finishing stage 1, at least the group stage, in first overall. Whether they actually take stage 1 remains to be seen. They need to get through DarkZero first and then conquer wildcard in today's grand final that's coming up after this.
You know, it's funny, Parker. M80 are, by some definitions, technically the reigning NAL stage champions, as they won stage 2 last year. Now, they didn't win the NA finals or the kickoff, but technically neither of those are called stages, so it's kind of a bad argument, but you could make it if you wanted to call M80 the reigning champs.
Oh, Jesse, I've considered it, and I'll allow it.
Thank you. Appreciate
This is nice in tarot today. Remember, I'm trying to hear the things you say, and I'm trying to pretend that you're not saying them, because when you say them, I have a visceral response, and it's just, I want to disagree. So if I think, oh, what if Laxing was saying that? What if Mint was saying that? Would I agree? And if the answer is yes, then Jesse, I have to give you credit. That was not ideal for Savage. He thought he had a bead on it, but Diffuser is there to refrag him right away, but still a devastating loss for M80 as player cams have returned. Please rejoice in chat.
Again, I mean, we're talking about Savage being disconnected from his teammates. Like, clearly something is going wrong on the information side of M80. Savage just not even checking the hallway. That must mean that somebody called it was clear, or they had some information on that player's whereabouts, but he just walks in, dies. It is traded, thank God, but now you're losing fights down towards Pillar. It's NJR on their own game, taking out Ashen, the entry fragger for M80, so we're just losing these bodies, we're losing these fights, and it really gets things awkward for M80 as they're trying to clear these roamers out, and they'll get the space, but at what cost?
For a second there, I almost thought he got that kill with the sidearm as J90 popped up right on the kill feed. After a good performance to get themselves back into this first half, it feels like they will fall just short on this final round. M80 left with Gavin and Diffuser. DarkZero staring at a 5-1 half unless we can see some serious heroics in the next minute.
They've got some good utility, like they still have the boogie drone. Diffuser has the kit in his hands, right? Diffuser has the defuse kit, so you've got a couple of options here, but as long as DarkZero play this smart, they should be able to avoid the vert pressure, they should be able to hold their angles, and once this plant goes down, it'll be 4v1 when it comes up.
They're still doing utility work here, but they'll have to confront all the stall potential that DZ has laid out in front of them, be those Goyo canisters, be those Gishmat mines, and even some Banshees, depending on where they were deployed. That's a small opportunity to take care of J90, missed by Gavin as he gets tickled by the flames. Needs to worry about the next 15 seconds, though. That's the main focus here for M80. In they go, and Gavin finds Newers, hoping for more. He might be able to get them. No, he gets one, but DZ outfoxes him. And a sniffle from J90 as the job's not done, but pretty close to 5-1 the first half for DZ.
Long way to go for M80 on their own map pick, not the way they wanted to start. I mean, we said our jaws were on the floor watching M80 take down DarkZero in the group stage. It's kind of the same right now. DarkZero stunningly quite a bit away ahead of what M80 are showing us.
Yeah, it is the same, and unfortunately, if you're an M80 fan, it's kind of the same issues as yesterday as well. I mean, we're seeing these guys just completely unsynced. We're seeing them kind of talking in their comms as well, like, guys, we need to wake up. I mean, this is the very first round. We watched them, look at them, trying to go with the fire, through the flames, and also through the thorn trap in a 5v5, calling a 3-2-1 right there. So, really bad play. And then a second round. Well, it didn't get any better. We're going to have Giveni going through the smoke, and they're going to get this kill onto the Kaid up top. But the problem is they're trying to sink that pressure at the same time as going for the bomb plant down below. But the top pressure went before the bomb was able to go down. So, of course, there's a Solus above. you can't plant there, right? You can't park
No,
there.
you absolutely can. They had to wait for Ashen to try to make a play, take the attention away, and then go for it. They're just going too fast, and they need to slow down. But we have to highlight Newers as well. I mean, even in that round 4, you could argue M80 actually started out very strong. Gunnar ends up clearing all the meds, gets 2 important frags into their favor, has the opening picks. This should be their round, but it highlights exactly what you're talking about. They're completely out of sync. There's no way Newers should be able to not only get that kill from the window, but then to push it even further and get the kill jumping out the window, but then extending it, killing the guy on rocket stairs, and then killing, I believe, Gunnar outside, throwing the thorn traps at him. And it was great for Fultz to be able to handle that 1v1 the way that he did. But I mean, Newers already, we said teams have to start out the gates hot here. These are one of the top 5 players in the league right now. Newers already starting out 9-4. And again, these issues are still very prominent for the side of M80. Jesse said it perfectly. They're going to allow them to play aggressive. They're going to allow them to use those shields, but they have everything for it. They have the delay with the Kaid. They have the delay with the smokes. They have the delay with the thorns. They have the delay with the smoke shotgun on rocket stairs. I mean, they want M80 to get aggressive, and a 5-1 result clearly indicates they knew exactly how they wanted to handle that aggression and how they were going to go it step by step of the way until they closed it out. And even in that last round, they played it perfectly to force M80's hand, and then they just played the trade game like they have been. Boom, shut, case closed, 5-1.
I mean, all that success that Newers has been having, if Ashen's not careful, Newers is going to quickly overtake Ashen for the #1 spot in the NAL right now. We have to see this turnaround. You mentioned the synchronizing of the team. Anything, I mean, now that they're going to defense, should be a little easier to do that. Less of a demand to be in sync. Anything else they can do to make sure they stay together?
I mean,
The comms.
it is the comms, but also we got to see some players kind of popping off.
True.
Again, we have Titans in this lobby. We have a lot of really good players, and Diffuser is clearly struggling right now. I believe he doesn't have a single kill in this series. Maybe he got one in that last round right there, but he was also -11 in the series prior. So he's obviously struggling a little bit. But
I mean, Savage as well.
Savage is also, I mean, we've seen him walk down that hallway by himself, and again, it comes down to the comms. Like, defensively, they got to try to get together.
They should be more in sync on defense.
They got to try to bunker a little bit here. And, hey, looks like we're going to try to bring some information out.
All right, hopefully that can help them get back on track. Let's see, 4 rounds down going into the switch.
A battle of the Titans, but 4 rounds down means that one of these giants is still sleeping, Parker. M80 have so much work to do to get back in this game. They will swap over to the defense, so they should have a bit more of an edge coming in against DarkZero in the second half, but 5-1 is still such a mountain you have to climb.
Oh, it's almost unscalable when you have an opponent like DarkZero to contend with, right? We've seen crazier things. I don't know if anybody tuned into some of the SAL matches yesterday that went on after the NAL broadcast was done, but there's, 6-0 halves are definitely possible, that's for sure. Here, M80 is absolutely a team that can close this gap. If they play to their level and DZ get punished for the mistakes they make, and DZ plays a little bit worse than their own standard, this is winnable for M80. It will just take a lot of luck because there's a ton of things that are going to need to go their way, and a lot of them are going to be out of your control. A lot of it's going to rely on DZ not playing to their potential. First step, information. That was something that the desk talked about. DarkZero needs to bring some information. There's plenty of info on the side of M80, and Gunnar is in a rat spot. What a shocker.
He's not getting droned, Parker. They have no idea. They didn't check it, so this is going to be a really big opportunity for Sean. Just hiding behind the desk. False. It's so easy to check it, but he's looking up above. He's using his drone to watch the floorboards. He doesn't even consider that Gunnar could be in this spot. Kendall, as you can hear going out, sounds like it's just a fake, though. They're still droning out to get information. This is a rare miss by DarkZero. They don't miss drone players like this very often.
Waltz is his way in now. This is a very typical push from operational into the bomb site, using those Selmas to open up and not imperil yourself. Gunnar thought that he had a read on Newers, but seemed a little surprised. He jumped in his player cam, and Newers will take full advantage of that. That's not the start M80 wants if they need to close this gap. Kino has found an opening, but NJR goes down to Gavin, so there is some uncertainty. Will he attempt it again? Gavin taking a little bit of damage. Kino not able to pull this one off. There was a gamble there. DarkZero have assessed the situation, Jesse, and they need to wait it out.
Yeah, this Toxic Babe is going to be such a problem. Kino takes early damage as they try to go for this plant for a second time. Still not able to get it down. Here comes the third and final Toxic Babe. That is it for Plant Denial. And actually, Kino thinking he might be able to sneak one in if he can get this other side of the wall open. 35 seconds on the clock. This plant will be doable for DarkZero. There has to be some other form of denial for M80.
Kino still taking a little bit of damage. As Newer's looking for a backstab. Gavin eliminating Fultz. He's been very, very good. J90 posted up on the window. All of these players a bit lethargic. They're just doing their jobs. You have to worry about the run out from Diffuser. That's where J90 will do battle. He doesn't look the right way. It started off poorly for M80, but they salvage it and win their second round, the first of the second half.
Yeah, I felt like Kino was in a good spot to just play objective there, Parker, but unfortunately it kind of falls to the gunfights and everybody gets into some fights that they don't really come out on top of. It does go the way of M80 with some really nice shots being hit by both Gavin and Ashen. It's those Titans that the desk wanted to see step up and hit some good shots. That's what we're seeing now from M80. Bit of an unfortunate start there with, again, Gunner's flank just being caught as he's trying to go for that push onto the buck. I think he was spotted. I think maybe Fultz caught him from the bottom of Rocket, didn't shoot, and let Gunner go for that flank because Newers was straight up just watching for it as the flank came in from Gunner. So a little bit unfortunate timing for Sean, but ultimately it doesn't matter. His teammates have his back. Diffuser gets active to double his kill count. Ashen and Gavin hit some good shots too. So M80 are back on the boards. They win their first defense. That is the most easy site to win, I will say, as the defenders, but it's a start no matter what.
Lineup of M80 will be difficult to deal with from an information perspective. You bring a Valkyrie, you bring the Solus. Saw a bunch of Solus played by DarkZero on the other side of the coin through that first half. If DarkZero are not able to drone effectively, as I don't think droning was really the biggest issue in the previous round, but they certainly seem to lack information. That's something that M80 will not have to suffer through. M80 should have tons of info here, and it's incumbent upon DarkZero to handle that. I wouldn't be too surprised if this round goes in favor of M80, that Callout uses his timeout very quickly to try to settle DarkZero's nerves down if he thinks nerves are the issue. I'm very eager to see what this Amaru does in the hands of Newers. What is the thought process here?
Oh, he's going in up above to try to kill Ashen.
And away he goes. Jane, I know the leadoff pick. Newer's unable to get anything because Ashen's already been taken care of, but the element of surprise still very much there for DZs. They get yet another leadoff pick. 2 minutes to go in the round.
That's a really cool little pocket strat. Like, just clear the guy out of the stairs. I mean, very nice little play out of the filter stairs. Ashen's in such a powerful spot there. We've seen Kino get some crazy clips from that position himself on the defense. So now to take that away from the defenders, you get that smoke off the board as well. It's a really good utility to clear out, and that's basically full top floor control. Diffuser has flanked up to that mid floor, and Gunner never left. So there are still some players lurking around there, but you have an entrance into the bomb site walking down filter now in the 5v4.
Curious what did a little bit of damage to Kino there. As the Solus is still on the move, Gunner on this main floor, patrolling. He quite literally saw a drone in front of him, just sitting there on the ground, and he did nothing for it. He ran away, and you can hear some more Candelas go off. J90 had used one a little bit earlier and is now just jiggle peeking for a kill. Won't find it as Kino takes advantage of that. And amidst the chaos in the melee, gets a frag onto Gavin. A bigger advantage for DarkZero grows. Newer's taking care of Gunner. That's likely a surprise. Gunner was surprised by him in the previous round. Why not go 2 for 2 on that one? Match point right now within reach. They just need to take care of Savage, the newest member of M80, whose leadership has inarguably improved this team. Finds himself on the run, on the move. And in a collision course with the Dokkaebi, a flawless round for DarkZero. They are 3 minutes away from stealing M80's map.
Out-aimed, out-brained, outplayed. DarkZero look head and shoulders above M80 in this game, and that was a perfect example in that round, Parker. Everything goes exactly to plan. M80 in this matchup, they've hit some good shots. They've had some moments where their individuals pop off. They've even had some good rat spots. Like, there have been good moments. But when it comes down to using utility, I think DarkZero have been so much better than M80 today. The Amaru Ying strat to clear the stairs, the blitz to get in and clear between the sites, all the util. All the util was coming out for DarkZero, and there was just no good answers from M80. And even after banning great intel operators like the Grim and the Deimos, it just feels like DarkZero have so many more strats that they can play with, so many more ideas on how they want to clear certain parts of the map. And it's crazy again because DZ have run so much Lair over the last couple of months. They love this map. They've shown off a ton already, and still we're being surprised by new stuff over and over again by these guys.
By attackers. 10 seconds to insertion.
Obviously not the start that M80 wanted to their day. It's an early one for them and some of their players, but you still got to be prepped. You still got to be ready. DarkZero locked in the moment that this one started, and it's been relatively even across the board from a deeper perspective. It's been scrappy rounds. No more than 2 to 3 players surviving round by round, which is good. M80 is still bringing the heat to them, even if they have been chasing this DZ team since the very beginning in terms of opening picks. 3 for M80 on the side of DZ5. So just because you draw first blood doesn't mean you win the round. The ability to translate that into a successful round victory has not been where either of these teams had probably expected. And well, if you're newer, you're hopeful that this first pick, which is within reach, is enough to push you over the edge. Again, DarkZero 1 round away from winning this map.
A little surprised it took this long to see a snake come out from DarkZero, one of the best operators in the game at the moment, but J90 will start this killing off as the Capitao gets the opening pick, takes down Gunner on this top floor. NJR falls right afterwards. This top floor clear is in full effect. Here comes Newers with his gun, and he will find Gavin. Immediately traded though, but it's still better for DZ as they retain the man advantage.
Oh, good play-by-play there, Corn Pop. Everybody seemed quite insistent on attacking all at the same time, and alas, for M80 and their fans, they are on the wrong side of this 3v2. Still lots of offensive threats for DZ as there's a fadeaway from Diffuser as he vaults on over. J90 will get one onto Savage, and it's all up to Diffuser. Diffuse kick going down. Kino at the halfway point. J90 and Fultz now to just lock this one out. It's really not the start that M80 wanted. They are going to have to right this ship for Labs. Unless Diffuser can glitch out, and Labs is delayed a little bit longer. He's able to get 2. This is very winnable for Diffuser. It's him and Fultz in a 1v1. What kind of veteran presence can the former world champion have? The wall will explode. Diffuser gets on for the counter disable. Fultz needs to go. Chasing Diffuser off of that spot. The goal now for Fultz is to just buy as much time as possible. And he won't need to. Diffuser hops on, picked apart. DZ vanquishing M80 7-2 on M80's map. Right. Hope springs eternal, and we are ever the optimists. And we are hopeful for competition to be fair and balanced here, Jesse, that M80 is able to stave off defeat on this map.
Yeah, they're going to have to show us something pretty incredible, but I think Mint broke it down really nicely. They have a lot of information to look back on. The desk is correct. Both these teams did recently lose this map to Wildcard. For DarkZero, that was a 7-5 game. For M80, that was 7-2. So a little bit different results there. Not all losses are equal, certainly, and I think DarkZero showed a little bit more in that they have some expertise here on Nighthaven Labs. They also have a 6-2 record overall in the season, whereas M80 have a 1-1 record here on Nighthaven. So it's not the worst map of all time for M80, but they will certainly be facing an uphill battle. Already the bans come out. They'll be focusing on the walls, leaving Kaid up. Expect to see quite a bit of Thatcher to try to counter that Kaid that's being left up on the board, and DarkZero also heavily focusing in on the walls. Thermite and Ace are 2 hard breach bans to come through. Would not shock me at all to see a Havana or a Maverick follow that up as well.
Jesse, did you notice the minion sticker on the closet of Diffuser?
Does he actually have a minion? Parker, you and him must be... He must really be supporting you. That's your favorite movie series.
While we try to inject just a bit of playful banter here for you, the audience, while we get the prep phase on your screen for round number 1, for some particular reason, Jesse just sends me Minions gifts. I don't get it. I have never seen a Minions movie. I've never seen any Despicable Me's. Frankly, I know they exist. That's about the extent of my knowledge. Yet for some particular reason, Jesse has latched onto this and insists that I am a huge Minions fan. So anytime I message him about something, there's about a 50% chance he just responds with a GIF from Minions in some capacity. So seeing it on the wall of diffusers, almost like you paid him to do that, just to taunt me.
And you know what? You don't have to be ashamed of your Minions love, Parker. We all support you. It's okay. We understand that that is part of your culture as an old person. You know, one day I hope you will be feeling comfortable enough with us all to admit that. For now, though, M80 will be doing the very difficult task of getting IT wall open with a Kaid still on the board. I mentioned that Thatcher would be played likely non-stop as long as this Kaid is up because he's the best counter to this operator, and immediately Diffuser will jump here onto this op. They're going to have to really juggle things. The two brows being brought out by Newers is alongside this Kaid. We actually saw this yesterday in the best of 3 that we were watching, so we certainly know how this juggle can go. It should favor the attackers if Diffuser and Gavin can coordinate properly on that IT wall. They should get it open, but it's very tricky when Fault is juggling the Kaid claws and Newers is using these Zoto canisters as well.
Bought some time.
Gunner, the very first casualty, that's on the newly buffed Zofia, by the way, and that was Diffuser hoping for a kill through the window, and NJR immediately jumps into chat. That is terrific. He did, to his credit, make sure to find a safe spot for him first. Savage now dealing with the Wamai of NJR, another one of the buffed operators that we will likely see more and more as time goes on. And then the mayor goes back to typing. I suppose you can do that when you take care of Gunner and Diffuser really early in the round. Now it's Savage taking a beating, just a little bit over a minute to go, and M80 sputtering here on this very first attack.
Wall's gotten open, but they just haven't been able to find a kill so far, Parker. Raptors control being fought over now as M80 know this is so important for their push. Gavin does find Newers. That's going to be the two brow going down over towards IT. It was great Zofia tech to get this open without too many problems, but it's still only going to be a vault, so if they want to push this, it's going to be really important they time it well.
Out comes the shield. Savage getting one, but technically Gavin credited with the kill. This is a good spot for M80. They bailed themselves out of the position they were in 30 seconds ago, and it is a far more winnable round, but now they need to do the harder task, get into the bomb site. Ashen attempts, Jaina, I know, shuts him down. Gavin will now rotate to link up with Savage as they head over towards Rafters. This is a precarious position to be in for M80, as Savage will slow his roll. The shield will make a ton of noise, and there'll be a shotgun waiting for him on the other side. Can he survive it? So far, he dances around it, and NJR gets 2. Oh boy, to be a fly on the wall, and you can already see he's typing away. DZ's reign of terror continues.
It's always bad for you if NJR is giggling after the round, and a big 3K followed up after some typing will do just that. A huge round from NJR, and it kind of comes back down to what we've been talking about all day with M80, all weekend really, as you're seeing just some whiffed shots, some missed moments from players who don't make mistakes like that very often. When NJR was typing after killing Diffuser really should have had him dead to rights. He missed a lot of those shots with the Thatcher DMR, so he kind of was struggling in that sense. And then when you let NJR live in that position, he just hides back behind Pillar. He gets those last couple kills. I don't know about the rotate at the ends there in the 2v3 for M80, right? You have to think maybe if they were able to get the Pillar wall open and could just flash that guy out, they might not have had hard breach on it, so either way, they chose to rotate over towards Rafters. They did get into a plant spot. If they killed NJR, that's certainly a winnable round, but it's a big if, and NJR doesn't miss those shots very often. So it's 3-0 start for him and a 1-0 start for DZ.
5 seconds to go.
DarkZero presumably will have their favorite side here as M80, or just rather, DarkZero will likely have the unfavored side here as M80 will start on attack, and DZ picking this map will be at a bit of a disadvantage to start. If they could run up the score in this first half, then boy oh boy, they'll be well situated to close this one out. For those that can't see, maybe you're on a small device, Cafe is the tiebreaker if needed, but map 3's really not needed that much so far. We've only had a single third map played during the playoffs, and it was actually this map, Night Haven Labs, as the decider between Wildcard and DarkZero, with Wildcard winning it, and that was ultimately what I guess tilted the playoffs in their favor, catapulting them into the upper bracket final. It's been a 2-0 for every other contest, and well, it's only one round, but with the way DZ played that, you got to feel pretty confident, DZ fans, that this might be a 2-0.
Yeah, just to be clear on the sides too, M80 chose the last map, DarkZero chose to start on defense. DarkZero chose this map, M80 did choose to start on the attack. That's a little bit weird, but keep in mind, M80 still have the highest attacking win rate of any team in the North American League, while DarkZero have the highest defending win rate of any team in the North American League. So I would argue both teams start on their favorable side on both maps. It just means that things might be even more competitive here and even more important through the first 6. Gavin will be the opening death to start things off. It was a nice shot on the IT breach to take him out. So that's going to be awkward. They avoid losing Gunner as he shoots the Nitro out of the air, but still a man disadvantage early for M80.
And Savage goes down, Gavin goes down. Newer's the only casualty on the side of DarkZero, and with how he performed in the previous map, that could be a devastating blow, but it was just yesterday where J90 ran rampant over Shopify Rebellion on this map. And again, when they won their major championship in Salt Lake City, there were strong performances from every single person on DZ. NJR having a great day so far. He's 3-0 on this map. J90, aforementioned, 2-0. M80's got their hands full in the final minute of this round.
Changing mags.
Pulse down below can feed information to his teammates. Bomb site is storage for those not keeping track, so this will be a mid-floor site. They don't have that far to go to get towards the bomb site. I like this rotate from Gunner. Gonna try to apply a bit of back pressure over here on the lobby side, but there are so many players around. You have to be able to catch them on the scanner just so you know where they are.
F2s in hand can always do some serious damage, especially when you got 2 of them. Gunner goes down. J90 gets Gunner easily. Ashen had gotten a kill just moments before. He and Diffuser now working together. Time slowly running out on the side of M80. Diffuser has found safe harbor inside the bomb site. Rethinks his position. His coverage is gone, though. J90 on the return to the site nets Ashen. And while Diffuser will likely be successful, he is not long for this earth. NJR topples him on the defuse kit. Fultz will go, and DZ a triumphant moment as they go up 2-0.
NJR, we're being a little toxic today. I don't know what he woke up with, maybe on the wrong side of the bed. Maybe
he's really
just
nasty. He's a nasty man today, Jesse.
Maybe he's at the end of his term. The mayor doesn't need re-election, or maybe he understands that getting a little nasty with it is exactly what the people want. In either case, it's definitely going to start tilting M80. Shoots the body a bit at the ends there, but it's all fine. I like the plants, going for it from Diffuser. They had a pulse down below, but of course, Fultz used his Nitro Cell really early in the round.
I'm a fucking boa, bro.
So it's really it wasn't a huge threat, that pulse down below. They played that well.
Yeah, he's term limited. I've heard that the mayor is potentially eyeing governorship or something along those lines. I don't know what political aspirations NJR has in mind, but there is a constituency out there that he's appealing to, and I can be pretty frank with you. I bet you right now, I don't have it on, but I bet you Twitch chat is loving NJR's nastiness, and I gotta say,
10 seconds.
it's a little bit of flair to a relatively uneventful game so far. If you're an M80 fan, this has been a torturous watch. If you're a DZ fan, you are overjoyed and probably cheering on the action that's been going on in text chat, as it's been a little bit more heated than what we're seeing in the server and on our screen. So DarkZero up 2-0, already a good position to be in if you consider they are on the weaker side, and typically the score line is 2 for the weaker side, 4 for the stronger side. That means M80 needs to win 4 consecutive rounds. They have not been able to do that at all so far through this series. In fact, they've only been able to win 2 rounds against DarkZero, going all the way back to the start of map 1. So quite an onerous task for M80. They're capable of it. Will it materialize?
Yesterday, map 1 started with M80 going down 3-0. Today, map 1 started with M80 going down 4-0. This game will at least start with M80 going down 2-0. It puts so much pressure on them now to be able to pull things back, to not let your enemy team get a full bomb site rotation. We always talk about that. You have to be able to win at least one of these sites to put yourself in a decent position after this first quarter. I think there's a high chance we'll see a Fabi and TAC timeout again after the 3rd round if they lose it, but it starts off strong. Newers, the best player on DarkZero in the last match, will go down early to a good opening pick from M80, so starts them off on the right foot. They clear out one of those top floor roamers. There's still plenty more to find.
Nice to see a Hibana on the board, an operator that frankly does not get picked anywhere near as much as she used to. I have a personal soft spot for that Type 89 gun, by the way, even though it does have about 4 bullets in it, and they go by in a hurry, as you just saw Diffuser emptying that mag. Another kill came in for M80 just moments ago, so J90 will find his first death, as Newers will find his third. The ever immortal Mayor still there, but they are coming for him. M80 taking care of everybody, and it's a flawless round to give some motivation and confidence to M80.
Yeah, I like how fast they took that one, Parker. That round is over almost before we hit the minute 30 mark, certainly before we hit the 60-second mark left in the round. So the speed was a key factor for M80 on that push. They get in, they've got insane guns. They've got Dokkaebi, they got Snake, they got Deimos. The information is flowing, and when they're roaming like that on DarkZero, they're spreading themselves out. They're having to extend around the map and hold so much map control, and once they do that, that makes it really difficult to trade. So you combine the fact that they're too spread out to trade each other with the fact that M80 just have the best information and the best guns in the game, and you're always going to favor the attackers in that round. They played it really nice, really well, hit the shots that they had to while being aware of those player positions. You can't do that on every bomb site, right? This is kind of the crux of the basement, is if you're going to roam, you're just going to have to spread yourself out naturally. There's really no other way to play it other than a full anchor.
Good fucking shit. Let's go, guys.
But it's a good round on the board. It gets the momentum going, and it keeps M80 alive at a better spot than they had in map 1.
It's an odd thing to say, given again, this is not their map, but they are on the right side of Nighthaven Labs. I think the M80 problems run deeper than you and I can probably analyze in a given map. They have just not looked anywhere near as good during the playoffs as we expected them to. It's like a different team locked in here. And sometimes squads do this, by the way. Sometimes teams will absolutely dominate from a standings perspective, maybe because they're best of ones. Maybe they just have a good day and they beat another really good team, and it's a bit of luck mixed with the skill and preparation that comes with it. And then when they actually have to play them in a best of 3, usually the better team wins. Best of ones played during the groups are great from a viewership perspective, but I think every team will tell you that a best of 3 is more competitive and a best of 5 is even more competitive than that.
Yeah.
We don't have time for best of 3s or best of 5s during the group stages. So maybe M80 just overperformed and teams have figured them out. Maybe there was a bit of a honeymoon phase with Savage, but I don't know what it is, Jesse, but over the last 24 to 36 hours, this M80 team has not looked like the same team we saw during the regular group stages.
Well, DarkZero have gone for a different dimension here in round number 4, Parker. They will go to Kitchen Cafeteria for their 4th bomb site, playing every site here on Nighthaven Labs. Not the craziest thing we've ever seen, but certainly a crazy entry. Ashen is going to be the first one to find a pick over on Kino on the lobby side of the map, taking down the mute. DZ like this bomb site. They've played it 5 times this season. They have a 60% win rate defending on it, so it's definitely one they are comfortable on. But it really is important that Faltz is able to get some value here on the Clash. He started towards the top of lobby. They didn't push him. They find Kino down below, so now they're in a man disadvantage. And Ashen goes from bad to worse. There's the value they wanted from the Clash, Parker, but I don't know if it's going to matter that much if all the teammates are still dying around him.
Exactly. DZ needs to consolidate now. Come together as Gunner had just assessed the situation. Saw one more player from DarkZero, so good information there. He still has his gadget in pocket. 3 uses to narrow down these DZ players. NJR's been a standout performer so far today. J90's been the statistical best player here on this map, but when you got both of them together, they can do some serious damage. The good news for M80 is they have plenty of time because of that early burst of aggression, and they'll use those Deimos trackers, they'll use those Dokkaebi gadgets just to narrow down these DZ players. The phone explodes in pocket for J90 and NJR as well, so none of them able to use those gadgets. The Jegio payload now used again as Gunner has expended most of his gadgetry, but he still has 3 in pocket. This is quite the position for M80. They've got everything working for them right now. DZ have to fear for their lives.
They're really closing in on him, Parker. 40 seconds. The Keebles will buy them a little bit more time, but still, you have to hit a shot to get yourself back to even, and NGR does just that, eliminating Gunner.
Nice reflexes there by J90 as well. As he catches the leg, the Kiba barrier will be replugged as it gets blown wide open by M80. NJR finds another. This position, oh so strong. Gets 2. Almost transfers over to Gavin, who himself will now need to clutch. But Fultz shuts it down. A golden opportunity for M80, but they run into the Mayor, and he is just such a tour de force. Today, DZ takes the round.
And another crazy round from NJR, playing incredible today so far, Parker. The longest standing member on any organization here in the North American League has been signed to DZ for more than 5 years and is still playing out of his mind at this level. Just has so much impact from that position over on the vending stairs. He gets that first kill and that's fine, but then after that, it feels like nobody's looking at him. The trades are not good enough to come out from M80 to clear him out of that position. He's in a spot where he knows he will die, right? Like, he can't get back to the bomb site. He's not playing with his teammates. He's just saying, I'm gonna get as many kills as I can before they take me out. And it just so happens that was 3 kills, which certainly will be enough to win them the round. They take a 3-1 lead here, and again, you're looking for M80 to be better on these clears. They have to be closer together to trade. They have to be able to find these frags when they're not going up against bad information. Like, they had the advantage in that round. They had the man count lead. They were collapsing in on the site, and they should have known where all 3 players were. I think they did know, but it just doesn't matter when you're losing all of these important gunfights.
Attacker's objective is to defuse a bomb.
I feel like I say this once a broadcast, but if you're not able to hit your shots, you lose. It's that simple sometimes, you know, and you'll hear teams in post-game interviews say, you know, we just weren't shooting today. We'd see them and we'd bottle our shots, we'd miss. Could also be a factor of it as well, though I will say from a kills perspective, M80 a lot healthier this time around. You can see in the bottom right-hand side of your screen, they're keeping pretty even despite the scoreline. Very top-heavy for DZ, complete opposite. Kino yet to get a kill, NJR with 7. Everybody not named NJR is 8 kills combined, so strong individual performances leading the way. It was Newers on the previous map who was in that position. So DZ woke up, they chose violence, and boy, oh boy, they're finding how successful violence could be.
Well, now the bomb site rotation gets funky, Parker. Now, after they've played all 4 sites, for if you're M80, you don't really know where they're going to go. It ends up being storage and control, and certainly they would have droned that out. So they've got the right tools for the job, but even still, this is going to be a little bit annoying to try to plan against, right? You're going to have to be thinking a lot about how you're going to clear out some of these positions. There is still the clash being brought by Faults, doing his best big bad Nadian impression here on the top floor, but it's Kino who goes down as the opening death once again here in round 5.
And when M80 seems to sink their teeth into these DZ players, they come in a hurry. These kills, 3 of them in the blink of an eye. Diffuser's bleeding out, but with 4 other players still alive, still upright from M80, you have to get the sense that he is retrievable if they want. There's only 2 more players on DZ for them to find, though, so he might prioritize getting kills instead. Diffuser brought back from the dead. Newers and NJR, last 2 standing. Newers' numbers on this map, not particularly good, but you know he can pop off at a moment's notice, and if DZ want to win this round, they're going to need a big performance from him.
Sledge and Buck, there should be no universe in which DarkZero win this. Diffuser finds Newers as well. If NJR clutches this, I mean, just give him the title of NAL champ right now, because there's nobody stopping him if he wins this one.
Oh boy. No,
Good.
not to be done. Another flawless round. This has been a good run from M80. Both of the rounds that they've won have come without a single death. Flawlessly done in round 3, and they'll do it again flawlessly in round 5. So when M80 wins, they're winning big. They need to kind of keep that energy for round number 6.
Yeah, they have to be able to close these advantages, right? Like, once they get that man count, they need to be good at closing them out. They've done it twice successfully so far. Round 4, again, was a little bit rough in that respect, but it's okay. They're still batting above 500. They need to be able to find big success in these moments. I liked the entry coming through there. Again, it was fast. They've got really good information because they had some really nice drones in and around that top floor. They've got some F2s. They've got some of the best guns in the game. The clash up at the top floor is scary, but you can really only watch one dimension. So if you know the clash is over towards the fish stairs, come in through IT, come in through Raptors. That's exactly what we saw Gavin and Diffuser doing, and they got the bulk of those kills early to really get the man advantage over towards M80. So I like that speed coming out from these guys. They were close enough that they could have traded if they needed to as well, but of course, the gunfights all went their way, and they will continue to keep this game close. If they escape out of this half with a 3-3 split, Parker, they're not in a bad spot at all. I know they chose their starting side. They prefer the attack on Lair. That's obvious, but a 3-3 is not a bad spot to be in, especially because I would argue DarkZero also prefer the defense side.
Yeah, I mean, if that read is correct, then you know, M80 fans can take some solace in the fact that the second half is still within reach. And the one thing I will also give credit to M80 for is it doesn't look like their mental game, Jesse, is impacting them whatsoever either. This was a concern that we had about them potentially mentally checking out after map number 1. And I mean, hey, if you lose your map pick, especially in the fashion they did, a 7-2 drubbing handed to you by DarkZero, there's a lot of teams that maybe they don't admit it, but it'll get shown up in their gameplay that their mental is affecting them. M80 are a team that are usually pretty ironclad in that regard, and it's showing right here, right now, as they are keeping lockstep with DZ on DZ's map. A tie game within reach. 2 minutes to determine whether M80 can keep it close or DZ stretches their lead.
Problem is now we go back to the top floor, right, Parker? And this is going to be the best bomb site here on Nighthaven. It's also the one where DarkZero don't have to roam. Look at the 2 rounds where they've lost. They lost because they get slammed on the roam clear. This time they can all play inside the site. They don't have to have anybody down below, and certainly they don't. So you're really putting the onus on M80 to make something happen, to break in and cause some chaos. They've done a good job so far. They've cleared out rafters. There's nobody playing here anymore as J9O has backed off from that position. So I actually like the map control so far. The IT wall got open with no issues. Still converting into 5 players sitting in the site is going to be a nightmare. Electrical is still locked down really tightly, as is Aqua. So I'd like to see them get a second dimension before they go for this push. But all in all, it's not a bad start for M80.
This round in particular, a good start as well. Gunner eliminating Fultz. It's only his 3rd kill, but most of Gunner's frags so far on this map have been high impact. And M80 has been leading the way as of late with these opening duels. Diffuser, Ashen, Savage, and now Gunner, all with the opening kill, and all of them in perfect sequence as well. DarkZero has been fighting down a man since the end of round 2. That's not an ideal situation to be in, and it will eventually come back to bite you if it hasn't already bit you, and we're just waiting to see what happens. Ashen will get a 2nd kill for M80, his 1st of the round, and M80 are poised and ready with 30 seconds to go to conquer this final round of the first half.
Ingo the flashes. NJR's on the Warden though, but he's just close enough anyways that it doesn't matter. Shotgun, somehow he loses that fight. 1v5 for J9O. Parker, he's got everything to deal with, and it's another flawless round win for M80. They will tie the half 3-3 and escape in a pretty decent position here on their opponent's map pick.
On a very difficult map for M80, they now have 3 flawless rounds. The 3 rounds that they've won out of the 5 total this series have been flawless laxing. It's a big turnaround we're seeing.
It's a massive turnaround. That's what you love about best of 3s is you can lose pretty badly in the first map, second map, but as long as you can bounce back, you have a little bit of extra room to work with. This is exactly what you want to see from the side of M80. I mean, in this round 3 in particular, what I loved is Savage got off the shields. Shields weren't helping them, so what does he do? He switches the Dokkaebi, has a little bit of extra information to work with the Deimos and work with the Snake, and then they find Newers, single them out, and then it was step-by-step how they were singling out these operators until they get to that late round execute. Even in round 5, once again, they're so step-by-step. The comms are flowing, they're working in unison with each other, and they're making these rounds, again, flawless. But this is the M80 that we were used to seeing in group stage. Now it's important for them to keep this momentum going. Something even more that we've talked about on this desk is when Savage is on those shields, granted he did bring in that last round, thankfully they did end up winning the round, but when he is on those shields, it's very telegraphed where the attack is going to come from. So I did like to see him pivot off of that and just understand we don't need to use the shield. Let's abuse the information. Let's take advantage of this map. We know how small Nighthaven Labs is. Use the information, and they used it perfectly. I'm expecting now on the defensive half, they kind of are going to be made aware that the information is going to be up. And then similar to what you were talking about with how DZ plays on the attack, are they going to put players below to stop a Buck, to stop a Zofia, to be able to open up any bit of sight from the vertical side?
Yeah, I think that was a really good call from him as well to get off those shields, because obviously they were not really working today.
No.
And to be honest, I thought this was going to be a quick DZ one. I'm not going to lie.
I'm right there with you.
The first round, M80, I mean, they go underneath with the Zofia, very similar to DZ, and it didn't work out. DZ decided to get aggressive and like, oh, that's how we're going to play this map. But yeah, good to see M80 with the 3 flawless rounds and bringing us back. And I'm going to have to argue here, just play a little devil's advocate. I think they needed those 3 because DZ have shown to be very strong at attacking this map. Again, I've highlighted it now twice, and that's kind of what I'm worried about from M80. So hopefully they did their prep work. Hopefully they're ready for DZ to kind of pull out I was going to say something new, but you're obviously not going to be ready for something new. We'll see if DZ does end up kind of pulling out anything brand new, but I'm sure it's not going to be here in the bans, at least. It's probably going to be pretty standard, which seems to be...
Already looking standard.
Teams seem to be going towards the Bandit Mira bans nowadays and leaving the Cade up, which is going to be... You're just going to see DZ running... Okay, I'm just gonna say, let me just stop talking real quick, just in case. Never mind, we'll keep it stock standard. Let's pull out the Mira M80. You should be seeing that every single round. Good luck opening the IT wall. C4s are gonna be aplenty.
The challenge here for M80 now is proving that they can take that flawless round momentum and carry it into a little bit more than just the 3-round half, as you mentioned, because the real danger, guys, could lie on the defensive side as DarkZero now switch over to the attack.
Well, we'll find out now what DarkZero's attacks on Nighthaven really do look like, Parker. There's no doubt DZ have had some success attacking on this map. They've definitely had their big moments. They have a 52% attacking win rate through 27 rounds. So there's been some good, some bad. But you look at a game that is generally favorable for the defense, 52% on the attack is quite good as a percentage. So there's no doubt DarkZero are a strong team on the attack. Will it be strong enough to break through these defenses of M80? That is the question. I'm really interested to see what style of defense they want to play. The desk talked about it a little bit, how DarkZero started this first half by getting quite aggressive. They've actually brought out the Clash. They brought the Mira as we expected, but Savage is pulling a page out of the book of Troy Canadian and bringing this Clash for the top floor. So I'm really interested to see how they try to counter this and if we again do see somebody going down below.
Cannot believe that all 3 rounds won by M80 were flawlessly won.
Yeah.
Have we seen that? I mean, certainly at some point we've seen it, but has there ever been a half where a team won every single round flawlessly? My cat says no. I don't know if you can hear him, but he's chiming in.
I could definitely write like a query. It would take me longer than I have right now to figure that out, but...
Jesse, if you consider asking Grok.
Yeah, maybe I'll give him an ask. We'll see what he knows.
Let's see what's Grok up to these days. See what he's thinking. You know, ask him a question or two. Why not? Just let's waste some drinking water. So M80 has tons of stall potential here on this lineup. Wamai is usually good for holding Raptors positions on any map that has them. You know, if you have an Azami, that's obviously going to be the power play operator for those spots. Wamai also getting a buff with the mid-season update that came just a couple days ago, along with Jaeger and Zofia. A slight nerf to Dokkaebi came in. Those are the main points worth noting. We've seen more Wamai over the last day or two than we have in quite some time. So obviously those buffs have worked. Same with Jaeger, same with Zofia. And we saw both of those operators earlier today too. Wamai of Diffuser is in a really rough spot here right now. He's going to rely quite heavily on Gavin because there's a bunch of angry DZ players within reach.
They've got full connector control for now. Diffuser's in a really good spot to stop them as they breach into towards the site. They've got no smokes, but plenty of flashes to blind these positions. So it's going to really be important they can get past this flash and get into a plant spot here.
Savage the first kill, Diffuser as well. DarkZero starting this unfortunate backwards slide as they are running right into these M80 players and not in the correct way. J9, oh my, guess what? Newer's an ugly engagement, and that's not a flawless round because they lost 1, but 4 round victories now from M80 where they have given up just a single death in the process. That is utter domination.
And it comes off the back of a good game plan, Parker. I want to go back to Savage on the Clash. He got the opening frag in that round, and I think it really threw DarkZero for a loop in the midst of it. And in fact, it instantly prompts attack timeout to come through from callouts. Clash was hiding in the prep phase. Savage did not want to reveal to DarkZero that he was playing a Clash. And it's crazy to bring out that operator when you just watched DarkZero dismantle the Rebellion with the Clash on this top floor site yesterday. Because SR really pioneered and pushed forward the Clash on this site. Like, nobody has done it better and more consistently than the Rebellion playing Clash on Nighthaven Labs. So for M80 to see DarkZero win that game yesterday and say, we're also going to run this strat is kind of an insane gambit. But because he hit it and because DarkZero weren't expecting it, it perfectly paid off. None of the Clash counters that DarkZero brought in yesterday's game versus SR were brought in this opening round of this second half. They didn't have the Zofia down below. They didn't have the Kali to try to counter the Clash from a horizontal perspective. No matter what they brought, they didn't have any of those Clash counters. So I think it was a really good call by M80. It's a bold decision because you know DZ can counter it, but as long as you hide that Clash, it was able to stay up the entire round. It made that linear push really difficult to go through. They had no smokes. They just tried to get a plant down. They were trying to flash their way in, but the information was just way better for M80. It's a great game plan to start them off, and it gets them their first lead in the series.
A wild thing to say. They've doubled the amount of rounds that they took on their own map, and they're doing it against DZ on very familiar soil here. You and I were actually talking about this before we got into the map, and we're both a little surprised at M80 allowing labs to go through, but so it goes. And I mean, hey, we're in the cheap seats. They obviously knew what they were doing because right now the lead is theirs. And again, it's not even just that they have the lead, it's how they've been winning. 3 flawless rounds in the first half en route to the 3 that they took. And then this 4th round here now only giving up a single kill. Again, very good stuff from M80. They keep this up. Man, DarkZero are going to be in some serious trouble. And right now, the bottom left-hand corner of your screen, fragging is the big issue for DZ. Kino, 0 kills. Newers, 1 kill. Fultz only gets 3. Fultz isn't usually the guy to rely upon for kills, but if Kino's 0-6 and Newers is 1-7, DZ are not usually doing very well.
Good entry from the captain of DarkZero. Fultz will find the opening pick straight on to Ashen, playing that Deimos. Again, they brought a lot of information, but they're not really committing to this roam clear. They know one's above, so they'll smoke him off and hit straight down the Exo stairs. This will be a fast execute, Parker, if they can get to the site undetected.
They got the opening. Why not press the advantage, right? Wrong! Diffuser puzzlingly gets 2. Shut down by Newers. A big kill for Newers, especially with how Diffuser had been. J90 on the board for 1. Newers handled by Gunner. A quick one is correct. 1:15 elapsed so far in the round, and only 4 players remain. So if M80 does go on to win this, it'll be easily their worst round that they've won so far. Lots of time now for DZ to slow this down, and they've got their 2 offensive threats still up on the board. NJR and J90 now working together. Very winnable for both of these teams.
No doubt the best moment Diffuser has had here in these NAL playoffs. Now he's put his team in a winning position. The time is still very heavy for DarkZero. They've got so much to play with, but they're going to go pretty early for this plant, at least to try to fake a C4.
Still watching from above. A linear take for DarkZero does them no favors if Savage still holds the cross and holds above them, which is what he can easily do. He's in a very powerful position. Gunner seemed quite so patient, but he's found at the hands of NJR, the telltale signs, the Type 89, easily one of the most unique sounding guns, will do some serious work. Now Savage has to choose. Do I stay up here and hold on to the top floor, or do I rotate down and take the fight directly to these DZ players? Smoked off, a rush on in, Savage still holding from above amidst the cloud of smoke. NJR is hopeful. Savage has to rotate. He's made the right call, and he'll run into J90 first. Tearing strips through him, not doing enough damage as the defuse kit goes down, but Savage still endures for the time being. J90 has him handled, and the lead for M80 lasted only 1 round. DZ ties the game.
NJR and J90, what a brilliant 2v2 that they played. Only 6 letters between them, but so much brain power packed into those 6 letters, Parker. They initially want to go for a plant just in through Exo to try to get it into the B bomb sites, but as soon as they realize there's somebody up above, they pull off of it. By faking this plant, by showing that they want to go for the plants close, they force the rotate up to the top floor from Savage, and as soon as that happens, they get off the plant spot, they isolate the one guy that is still on the bomb site, and they get a plant down tank. They are playing with their food. They are controlling the movements of M80 in these low man count late rounds. And it's so impressive to watch from a top-down POV because it's just something that requires incredible coordination and incredible game sense as to how the defenders are going to react to your movements. That was really cool.
Doorway barricaded.
It was nice to be able to nerd out over some good Siege happening in front of our eyes. Map number 1 was a bit of an unmemorable map, one that you can pretty soon forget. But so far, the narrative that's shaping up around the second map is really something to behold. A word, by the way, that DZ hates. They hate the narrative. They hate talking about the narrative. They hate it. And we as casters happen to love it. So, of course, we're going to discuss it. While at one point it didn't look all that likely, Cafe is still a possibility as the tiebreaker. We haven't seen much Cafe here in the North American League. So if she shows up, it'll be just the second time here in the playoffs that a third map has been needed. It's been domination by the teams that have won. And a reminder for everybody that after this match, Wildcard, who's currently sitting and waiting in the grand finals, will face the winning team, whether it be DarkZero, who need just one more map, or M80, who need this one, and Cafe in order to get to that position. And it'll be a rematch no matter what, as Wildcard defeated DarkZero in the upper bracket semifinals to kick off the playoffs, and then shoved M80 down into this position yesterday with a 2-0 victory.
Feels nearly must-win for M80. This is going to be their final bomb state in their primary rotation. You'll love to be able to go 2-1 on your first set of rotations so that you have a little bit of wiggle room on that back half of the match. Getting that 5-4 scoreline can make all the difference. This game will continue to be close until the very end. But it's a tough setup here on the top floor for DarkZero to break through. The mute jammers, the mirror windows makes it really difficult to get past this. You're always worried about the nitro coming out from above that mirror window, but Gavin's preoccupied with the vert, so there's not going to be any pressure coming into the connector side of things. He is like kind of isolated here. He's got Savage and Ashen to back him up, but Ashen's playing the Raptors position and Savage is, I guess, relatively close. So they've got some decent coordination here if they want to go for a bit of a trade. I'm curious what DarkZero's game plan is, Parker, because they were initially looking at that top floor to try to clear it out, but they're only just now maybe moving to the IT side of things, maybe still not committing for that. Bomb site is storage, so if they don't commit to this top floor, you have to imagine they're just going to try to sneak a plant in that site.
One man I'm watching right now is the one on your screen. Newers, after putting in a pretty decent effort on layer, 12 and 6. You have to wonder if he's all out of juice at this point. 2 and 8. Far cry from what he's capable of, and again, one of the highest rated players in the entire league. He's going to be playing Ash, which is not your prototypical fragging operator the way that used to be. Diffuser takes care of Kino, but Fultz was a little bit too slow with the counter punch. He gets it either way. This round has flown by. Final 30 seconds right now. Newers still down below in lounge, languishing, cutting around, looking for an opening, but Gavin was there on the flank, laying in wait. M80 catches DZ off guard. J90 with one. Ashen trades it back. All of these rounds on the second half have been so scrappy. It's been DZ taking advantage of that, but it's M80's round to lose, and they will regain the lead. 5-4.
Great hold coming out here again, Parker. It feels like the strats are just a little bit better from M80 on this second map pick. They go to the top floor, and with that mute mirror setup up above, plus the Azami over towards Rafters, it was just too difficult of a nut to crack. DarkZero took one look at the top floor and said, yeah, we're not going to deal with this. And they decided to just go down to that mid floor, try to hit the site direct without clearing those players up above. Meant they didn't have a whole lot of map control to work with for that plant. You saw the difficulty of the Blackbeard trying to get in from Kino as he was inside a bottom garage trying to make his way deep inside of storage, but he got caught from the back as there was just a good crossfire being held by M80 as they had so much of that map control. So I really like that defense from them. DarkZero, you could have argued maybe they should have tried to force the top floor control anyways, but it would have been tough with all that utility. With the util that they had brought to that attack, they were kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place. So it's good defense being brought out by M80. The final operator ban might change that a bit. With Mira being taken off the board, they're not going to be able to rely on that like they have been through rounds 7, 8, and 9. So DZ will really need to rely on that one ban to get them back in control of this game.
It's been a rough game for DarkZero unless you're named J90 and NJR. All of their EPSs in the ground. Kino in particular sitting at 37 EPS right now, which is among the lowest that we have seen in the playoffs so far. Again, diagnosing what's going wrong with M80 was a challenge. Diagnosing what's going on with DZ right now is a little bit easier. It's just, it's a lack of confidence, a lack of follow-up, and again, the firepower just really has not been there. Fultz, to his credit, did pick up some pretty important kills en route to a loss in the previous round. But again, Fultz is not the guy that you expect to be fragging on this team. He plays, well, you could maybe argue whether he or Kino plays the harder role on the squad, but Fultz is not usually the guy who should be competing for the top. Jade, I know an NJR did spawn in, but they need some help, and they need it desperately because M80 is within striking distance of taking this map and sending us all the way to Cafe.
Yeah, listen, we talked about Diffuser's poor performance in map 1. We have to talk about Newer's poor performance here in map 2. I mean, he is the primary entry for this squad. You know him as one of the best fraggers in the league. When you isolate just to the attacking side, he has the best kill-death ratio of any player, 176 on the attack. So I want to see him getting more active now that he has more tools available to him. He chooses the demos here for round number 10, but he needs to be able to hunt down some of these players, isolate some gunfights, pick off a couple of guys that are roaming around the map. That is, I think, easier said than done, especially on this top floor bomb site where generally everybody will be staying inside the site unless we see a bit of a hatch drop halfway through the round. But if you can play from down below or try to find a pick on an off angle, like that could really open things up for DarkZero, and it can make all the difference in the world once they can finally go for that.
You see the Kiva barrier still getting set up. It was funny that you said, you know, in the previous round, oh, these zombies playing on Raptors. I was like, it's just a zombie spot. That's it. That's her home. Oh, yeah. That's where you accept to see her. And Ashen is very safe for the time being. A very powerful spot to be in. You block lines of sight from down below and the window. You don't really need to worry about the door behind you, but usually, again, somebody is holding that angle. Nitrocell goes out. Flashes have been used so effectively. M80's been firing blind an awful lot. The Nitrocell puzzlingly does no damage to NJR. I don't think it should have been a fatal blow, but I'm a bit surprised that he walks away without any wounds whatsoever. And Diffuser will take up space and greet him at the window should NJR opt for that fight. But for the time being, he's still outside. He sees the line. Diffuser is not within range, and it's beautifully paid off. His patience rewarded. Gunner and Diffuser both on the board. DZ still struggling from that offense perspective. Kino 0-9 right now. This is just not helping the team one bit, Jesse. Final 35 seconds here, and DZ might be sleepwalking their way into another flawless round for M80.
Just feels like they're not able to get anything going from down below. Newers is trying to find some value, but he's in a 1v5. The Deagle shot comes through. It's a body shot, but it's clean enough. Gets the final frag to complete yet another flawless round to come through from M80. A ridiculous set of circumstances coming through, and they have started to run away with this game. They'll have 2 opportunities to close it out in regulation.
What an outrageous situation to be in. M80, round number 3, flawless round. Round number 5, flawless round. Round number 6, flawless round. Round number 7, you lost 1 person. Round number 9, you lost 2 people. Round number 10, flawless round. Of all the rounds that M80 have won, Jesse, they have given up just 3 deaths in the rounds they've won. It's got to be one of the cleanest set of round wins of any team that we've seen in the history of the NA League. This is just, when they win, they are so dominant. DZ sprang out to a 2-round lead, but since then have struggled to match M80, and boy, oh boy, Cafe 45 minutes ago seemed incredibly unlikely, bordering on the absurd. Yet now, it is almost a certainty. DarkZero have no answers for M80.
They're off the top floor site for the rest of regulation. That's got to be the one little kernel of hope you can hold on to if you're a DarkZero fan. You've got to deal with the basement, you've got to deal with the mid floor, but those are generally thought to be weaker sites. The basement in particular, a site that DarkZero won, although it came down to a pretty close 2v2 situation after an early flood of action in through the vending stairs and through cafeteria. It's again a pretty heavy roam game, so if DarkZero wanted to, they absolutely could go for a similar kind of exo rush and try to make things scrappy early on. We've got a lot of pressure down here by the main breach, and Savage is reading all of this, playing on the pulse. He'll spot NJR, he'll spot Kino out there as well. So good information being fed to the guys on M80. It'll allow their roamers to make informed decisions. Do we actually have to rotate back to the site? Is this a fast site hit? No, probably not. We can keep our players up towards the top floor. Maybe play a little bit more of these vert angles instead.
Unlikely that Kino will be able to amass any serious number of kills for the remainder of this map, especially now that he's playing this hard Monty role. He's got Diffuser dead to rights inside the B bomb site, but Diffuser playing very effectively behind those Kiba barriers, isn't really in a position unless he wants to take that engagement. Gavin starting things off. Down goes Newers. Newers also 2 and 11. A disastrous performance for Kino and for Newers is not helping this DarkZero cause one bit. Now it's NJR taking some damage, but there's been a couple kills on the side of DZ. Far more winnable than it seemed moments ago as Ashen and Savage have been put in the ground.
Weird death from Savage. He goes for the run out there, nearly finds NJR, but it's not quite good enough. The patience is paying off for DZ. There's definitely going to go for just a main site breach plant as Keto has this diffuse kit in his hands, but if they don't clear some of these players out of the site, if they can't get Diffuser out of here, they've got really no hope of getting a plant down.
Have Fultz settling in, tracking down Gavin, the Solus and the Deimos, doing battle with one another. Fultz, serious ball knowledge. They're knowing exactly how those metal bars go, so he can read into the floor and get a couple shots off, but no damage is really done. Gavin and Diffuser, not at full HP, but still relatively healthy, so not in a position where a single bullet or two can do enough damage. NJR can't say the same for him, though, on a single point of HP. Final 40 seconds here. Jesse and the Execute shaping up. It looks like they're going to come to blows, and it will come in a hurry. Diffuser and Gavin swatting them away. Gunner's been dropped. Gavin goes down as well. Diffuser, the last man standing. Kino and J90 with Diffuser in hand for Kino. As Jack will look over top, Kino securing the kill on the Gunner, but it's not his own, so he still sits at a 0 on the kill feed. Diffuser's got 10 kills. Kino will walk at him menacingly. But Kino's one with the defuse kit. This could absolutely get misplayed by DZ. Diffuser moonwalking his way out of the bomb site, looking for a small rotate, but the rotate will not go for him. So now Diffuser will have to go right into harm's way, and J90 will keep DZ in this with a big win for DarkZero.
You know, Parker, I know he has 0 kills, but I really want to praise Kino after that round. Not only did he have a huge value on the Monty, taking that space for his teammates, but he was also super patient, right? A lot of, I think, worse players would have immediately tried to vault into that breach earlier in the round, try to take that space over towards kind of assembly, but Kino never went for that. Instead, he played it passive. And the most important thing that Kino did in that round was he got information for his team. You saw it early in the round as Kino drove a drone straight onto the bomb chassis inside of Tank. That was feeding information the entire rest of the round. Gunner's position close on the mute was constantly being pinged out thanks to Kino's drone that he had inside the bomb site. It was close on the man count, but as soon as Savage dies, the information advantage goes heavily in favor of DarkZero, and they're really able to put together a good execute because of it. They extend this matchup by at least 1 round. They bring us to the final round of regulation. 7-5 or overtime are our only possible results, Parker. This is anybody's game. I don't know how to call it.
10 seconds to go.
Well, Jesse, what we're going to call it is a good match because this one has been spectacular so far. There hasn't really been a lot of banger or dynamite moments. It's been very steady as she goes. Again, with M80 having 6 rounds right now, 4 of those were won flawlessly. They have been very efficient in the rounds that they are winning. DarkZero is hopeful that that flawless number stays the same on the side of M80 and that the scoreline stays the same too. As DZ had the early lead on this map, but has slowly watched as M80 chipped away and then ultimately took it over. 1 more round for DZ to send us to OT. There is a 3rd map if required. It seems likely, but DarkZero could change that in the next 2 minutes.
In round 9, the big problem for DarkZero attacking on this site were the Mira windows up on that top floor, but they've banned the Mira out, which means this top floor clear should be a lot easier for DarkZero. Instead, the Mira's been replaced with Gavin running the Stenari. Every other operator remains exactly the same for M80, so the overall game plan is not changing despite the fact that they lost one of their best operators. Still, DarkZero will have to clear out this top floor, and they'll have to do so with decent pace. 60 seconds deep, and they've done a decent bit of job opening up that IT breach, but you've got players down in the basement hunting for rumors that don't exist. You've got players droning out this mid floor. I'm curious if they're again going to give up on the top floor clear. If they do, Parker, I'm really worried for how this round might come out for them.
That's a tough moment now as Newers will try for his 3rd kill. Again, far below his own expectations. So he was down below. What was that, Jesse?
It's just an insane angle that he's holding. Like, who plays this?
That's a great point. Plugging those holes now as the Azami of Ashen will take up a very familiar spot and will need to be redroned. I don't think because of his angle, NJR saw him. He might have. You're going to have to take care of this Azami pretty quickly, though, as the timer just continues to work against DarkZero.
I mean, they have some pressure top floor. Like, they've got guys coming in on the meeting side. They did, at least for a moment. I think everybody's now exited, so DarkZero stalling out a bit similar to last time. They must walk away from these first 2.5 minutes with a man count advantage, or this is surely done.
Candela's going off. Gavin there for backup with Ashen in tow. Ashen a sitting duck, but Diffuser and Gavin both strike as well, so the advantage stays for M80. J90 will equalize numbers. Gas down below gives information to DarkZero as they have control of above now, but need to translate that to the bomb site, and they haven't been able to work through this rafters position. It looked like NJR would be the point man for that, but he's thought otherwise, and he's dove off that top floor outside and might look for a direct sight hit. None of the 3 remaining players on DZ have the defuse kit, and there's only about 15 seconds left in the round. Fultz is in the grave. This one might be wraps for DZ as NJR taking some damage from below, tussling with M80. It's all up to Jack. J90 with 6 seconds left on the clock. He'll take care of Gavin, but it's a Pyrrhic victory for him in the site. M80 will steal DZ's map, and we will go to Cafe as the decider. But now they have their work cut out for them. Defeat DarkZero and square off against Wildcard in the grand finals. And you best know that Wildcard team is greatly enjoying these teams beating the stuffing out of each other.
Yeah, Wildcard sitting pretty, waiting for the victor of this match. That'll be played later on today, so don't leave once this game ends, because if your favorite team wins, they will be right back in action. Jonah mentioned it. We are back in the same battleground where DarkZero got demolished 7-0 by M80 in the regular season, back during the group stage. But I'll say there's one key difference, Parker, and that's the sides. DarkZero, because they had a more dominant map win, they got to choose what side they wanted to start on here on Cafe, and of course, they're not going to choose the side where they lost 6-0 against M80 a few weeks ago. So they'll start the defense this time. This should be the better side for them, and hopefully they can get at least a couple of rounds here in this first half so that they can move on to that attacking side with some wind in their sails.
The desk mentioned how Newers was taking a bit of a sleepy sleep. He needs to wake up. Kino also needs to wake up. M80 had some struggles from an offensive perspective back in map number 1, but maybe it was just a lot of West Coast starts for this team because they are awake and ready to play. Obviously, a 7-5 scoreline gets the job done, but yeah, it wasn't as dominant as I think M80 was potentially hoping for, and it allows DZ to not mentally boom themselves. Both these teams lost their map picks, though. That's not abnormal, but you don't see that every single day. And now we go to Cafe as the ultimate decider. A very different map from both Labs and Lair. Extremely vertical. You saw a lot of verticality and how much it mattered, particularly on Lair. It's going to be on display non-stop here on Cafe. All bomb sites are technically viable. Just comes down to what they want to play. Extended defense all the way on the top floor, as one of the middle floor bomb sites will be the scene for round 1.
Yeah, don't expect DarkZero to go top floor. It's really not a site that they run. They'll rotate through the bottom 3 bomb sites. M80 have shown that they can play all 4 sites here on Cafe. We're in the playoffs. You never know. DZ could mix things up and try to catch M80 off guard, but you'd expect traditionally for DarkZero to stick to these bottom 3 floors, and it's not a surprise to see them starting mining dining. That's a bit of a surprise from Fultz. Goes for the run out on the Goyo, but unfortunately caught by Ash, and he hears the impact nade and he flicks over in time. Really well done to be able to stop that bit of aggression from DarkZero, and M80 take an early lead here on Cafe. Oh, another one.
Okay.
Cover me.
Interesting. That's toxic.
He's been a naughty boy today. He's been a very naughty boy in chat. And I mean, it's one thing when he was typing away on map number 1, where he was actually doing quite well. But map 3 now, when he's got no kills to his name, come on, NJR, you can do more than that. M80 continuing their winning ways. Boy, oh boy, DZ have just 2 players remaining. Half of the round to go. The attackers haven't even really made their way inside the building yet, Jesse. This is a great place to be for M80. Not right there, though. J90 handles 1. Pressure now over by top white. Nades going off. Push from Freezer. Push from Piano. And M80 with the final 2 kills to take round number 1.
DarkZero, they've been very eager to get active on these defenses, Parker. Throughout this series, they've been wanting to show some pace to their opponents, and this time it really does not pay off. A couple of early runouts punished by Ashen in the midst of this. He ended up getting the first one. It was Savage that got the down onto the second one. So after banning out both of his shields, he goes to the gun, as he often does, frankly, on this bomb site, and will walk away with the success there for his team. So nice to see that coming out from M80. They get that first round on the board. Didn't really have to do much in terms of clearing the map, right? Didn't have to take much control. A lot of that was DZ giving fights over to M80, but a lot of lesser teams would have maybe let that slip past them. They would have gotten caught by some of those runouts. Again, I think it's huge credit to both Savage and Ashen who were able to catch these plays as they came down. Ashen gets the finish off there, but it's Savage with credit for the kill. And then once they clear through this top floor, there's just not enough numbers to really do much else on the side of DarkZero. So good start, but one that DZ should be able to shake off.
Nice.
I don't care if I whiff. Got mine.
That's the spirit.
That's me in all my ranked games. So I feel like I'm glad that the energy also reaches its way up here in pro play. And Ashen's been having a pretty good day so far. Highest rated player in the lobby is J90. His efforts all the way back in map 1 and on have been really quite terrific. He's sitting at a 123 EPS, nearly double Kino's. Kino sits at a 64 EPS right now, and largely due to his pretty terrible performance on Night Haven Labs, if we're being completely honest. On M80, we got 3 guys all fighting for that top spot. Gavin, Ashen, and Diffuser have been terrific, and again, Ashen, far and away the highest rated player in the NAL. He was sitting at a 125 EPS to start the day. Next closest was a 120 EPS of Newers, and Newers is going to be sliding down with, again, having a disappointing performance in map number 2, but most of DarkZero did, unless your name was NJR or J90. So, recovery possible for DarkZero. Discovery phase largely wrapping up now as we're a minute into round 2.
I want to briefly mention this Wamai ban from M80, Parker. It's something that J90 loves to play here as he extends into the top floor, kind of in this bathroom pixel position. Even before the buff to Wamai, he would run this operator non-stop up there. So with it off the board, he's going to move to the Mira instead. Still a really good operator to try to hold down this top floor and stop the attackers from taking his control, but just going to have to change things up a little bit. Those Wamai buffs extremely impactful, as we've seen across the last couple of days. So it's nice to be able to take that off the board if you're M80. Give your throwables a little bit more weight to them as you clear these tough positions on the top floor.
Flashes will go in. The nade lands right in the lap of Kino. J90 sends Ashen out with an explosive of his own. A nitro cell for one, a frag for the other, and an explosive beginning to this round. Another nitro cell lined up and ready at top white stairs. NJR, you have his headphones on wrong? I think he's hearing the gridlock, but is worried that someone might be below him. That would have been a golden opportunity for DZ, and yet NJR hesitates, and because of it, Diffuser gets to live a little bit longer.
Full top floor control. This is a good spot to be in for M80. The time is a little bit concerning, but they've got good space to try to play around with it. Gunner is also down on that bottom floor, so they've got lots of different dimensions to this push. Savage is going to want to get a plant down reading. With that vert pick, it should be wide open for him to go for that defuse kit. Full vert control, everything is in control for M80. Like, this is exactly what they want to go for this push.
Above. Plenty of time for some destruction. Diffuser finally punished by NJR. NJR was hoping for that kill a good minute or so ago. Gunner reads Fultz like a book, and down he goes. DZ now outnumbered. They'll take care of Gunner as they trickle in, and NJR and Newers double up. It's Savage and NJR in a 1v1. Savage in pursuit gets him through the wall. Goodness gracious. This scrappy M80 team, so hard to hold down. They take round 2.
NJR is doing his best in this game. He has a really nice round flanking back up those stairs to retake the top floor control, Parker, but he ends up going back down the laundry hatch, and it is Savage who clutches up in the 1v1. That gets really tight, but M80 better for it in that late round. Nicely done by them after getting that control to be able to not overly focus on the plants. I think that's a big thing from Savage. He had the defuse kit. He's in the default plant spot, but instead of holding F, he joins his teammates because he knows the gunfights are coming. The vert control is so important, as we said, and then once they got a couple more of these frags, they were able to trade things out really nicely. If Savage overcommits to the plant, maybe they can't get those trades. But they play guns up, and they managed to find those kills when they needed to. Really nice by M80 2-0.
Wildcard waiting for these teams is yesterday, Wildcard took M80 apart on Nighthaven Labs and Cafe Dostoevsky, 2 maps that we have seen so far. Our good friends Lynx and XR Troika providing the commentary for that one. Wildcard has just been such a good team. If we can take a second to discuss them, it is really quite a shame that Adrian was not able to compete with them at Salt Lake. Even with hot and cold as an emergency substitute, they still made top 8, which is really just kudos to the team for how good they can be. Spiker in particular needs so much credit. Lagonis, their coach, is a brilliant mind, and I'm very glad that he's starting to get his flowers. A long and tenured career as a player, now turned coach, and boy oh boy, Wildcard's success is very much his too. They're a formidable foe, and no matter which of these 2 teams emerges, Jesse, you gotta think Wildcard will be the favorite.
Yeah, Wildcard will have a good time. I think sitting up there in the grand finals. That's an organization that has never won a domestic stage of the North America League. DarkZero have, it was just a very long time ago. M80, of course, won stage 2 last season. So Wildcard would be our only new champion of an NAL stage. So that would be exciting for them to be able to represent the organization. But got to win that game first, and of course, they've got to face the winner of this 3rd map here on Cafe. This will be a slow round because it is a full anchor setup down on the bottom floor of Cafe, and M80 are going for a full top floor clear. They've got they've got Gavin on this Buck, they've got Diffuser on the Ram, so once they're safely secured on this mid floor, they're going to start working on some of this breach. My main concern is Kino. He's playing on this Echo, so when this plant comes down, it's going to be really late no matter what. If those Yokais are in a good position, they could deal some damage, and if it's a man disadvantage, that makes it even more awkward for M80. They have to be ready, and they have to be playing with pace, Parker. If they go for a late plant, like I'm a little bit worried they will, those Yokai camps could completely ruin their day.
9 of the 12 rounds back at Nighthaven Labs started off with an M80 kill here on Cafe. The first 2 rounds were M80 striking first. This is a good opportunity for DZ to see what they can do with the numbers advantage, something that has been shockingly absent from their gameplay. You have to go all the way back to Lair, where they did win most of those opening engagements en route to the 7-2 victory that you see on the top of your screen. DZ constantly fighting down a man, and the issues that they had fragging really did them no favors. This round, the hope is that they've managed to sort it out, but M80 rushing into Bakery, isolating these players of DZ. Diffuser and Ashen both with a kill apiece. Newer's the only one from DarkZero able to muster anything. He's still alive. Newer's already having a better game than what we saw out of him on Nighthaven Labs. He finished 2-12 right now, already with 3 kills. Final 20 seconds to go. M80 tied the numbers with DZ, but now the hard task of getting into the bomb site. Ashen's made it a little bit easier, and Gavin is hoping to make it even easier than that. Fultz, last man standing, he's above. He's looking for coverage. Can he find the shot as the defuse kit goes down? No, Ashen expertly placing that defuse kit away from the waiting eyes of DarkZero. And now Fultz, on a completely different floor from the objective, can survey the wreckage that was created earlier largely by Diffuser's boogie drones. A return back to the bomb site, but 3 pairs of eyes on M80 will be watching for him. They've looked mighty good, steadily improving the longer this goes on, and that round is no different. A perfect start through 3 rounds for M80.
Yeah, this could not have gone better, and I want to give more credit over to the calling happening from M80. It's more great late-round decision-making from these guys, where they take the top floor control, and a lot of other teams would have tried to break in through Freezer, gone for that drop, get past VIP somewhere and get a plant down, but instead they go Bakery, and that's huge because they know that Kino is playing the Echo in that Bakery position. If you can take bait control, that means Kino is going to be dead. You don't have to worry about a Yokai cam stopping your plants. He was able to disrupt the shield. It got Savage killed in the midst of that push, but they trade out really nicely. They equalize back down to a 3v3, and then they're pushing sight, and Parker, they've just got some incredible gunners with some incredible guns. It's Ashen with the F2. It's Diffuser on the Ram. They're finding some really good shots as they flood into that site in a relatively even 3v3. And Fultz, his top floor flank, it was a really good idea, but I think it's just a little bit late on the execution. If he's there a bit faster, maybe he's able to have more impact, but he ends up just being a little bit of dead weight here for DarkZero, and so his site players fall to pieces to the guns of Diffuser and Ashen.
I don't think they expected such aggression through Bakery as well. I mean, you could, what, 3 guys immediately just pushing on in, and DZ and one player trying to hold it all together. Newer's firing back from longer range, but he immediately peeled off of that position when they had to reassess their defense, because if Newer's dies, that leaves just 2 players on the bomb site. DZ calling another early timeout. These last 2 maps not going the way that they had hoped. It's been a steady decline for this DZ team to start all of these maps. Go back to Layer. They won 4 to start off map number 1. They won 2 rounds to start off map 2. Here on Cafe, they've been blanked. So things are gradually worsening for this DZ team. If you're a fan of theirs, you're hopeful that the coach or call out is able to get these guys back on the same page. Kino in particular, still snake bitten from map number 2. He ended Nighthaven Labs with an 0-10 scoreline. You have to go back almost an hour and 20 minutes to the last time that Kino got a kill, which was on that Layer map. And to his credit, Kino finished positive 6 and 5. But again, he plays on a role where you're not expecting him to go positive all the time. He's one of the lower rated players on the team. But 0 kills is indefensible with the way that he plays, and it is obviously hampering this team.
We don't expect DarkZero to play the top floor. That will continue after the tactical timeout. Callout will have a conversation with the guys, and they will reset back into their bomb site rotation. Reading room is going to be our first site here in the second quarter. This was played back in round 2, of course, with success from M80 as they were able to push in and win a close 1v1 as Savage won that final frag onto NJR. This time, the Mayor has moved on to his favorite operator in the game, the Chachanka, being brought out, as well as Newer's no longer able to play that Thorn, jumping here onto the tuber out. Name of the game on this side is always going to be top floor, right? You have to really get this control up above from the defense. That's going to be most of the players. Kino, Jane, I know, and Newer's holding this one down. It's never an easy task to take this, but again, you've banned out the Azami, you've banned out the Wamai. You should be able to use some of these flashes and nades to clear it out, much like they did in the first quarter.
Newer's will let that boogie drone go, not giving up his position. If this goes undroned by M80, this is a golden opportunity for Newer's to punish them and get another opening pick for DZ. NJR will gun down Gunner. That's over by the A bomb site. Still pivoting, playing this great spot in reading. He can cover that new hatch as well. Diffuser finds himself aiming for one of the targets, but he just can't find it, slipping through his fingers. And I mean, he's got to worry about the DMR in the hands of Newers, who realizes it's time to go. He wasted as much time as he could. Frankly, pretty good timing there. Kino's still up there, though. As flashes go out, Nitro Cell does not connect, and this prolonged fighting is not netting any kills for the time being.
Jano in a really tough spot. Wow, what a shot from the Diffuser. Blows his head clean off, so that equalizes the numbers right back to 4. He was the one player that couldn't get back towards the bomb site. Now you've got Vert control with over a minute still to go. They've already gotten a lot of the soft breaching done, but they're kind of limited now on what they can do. Gunner was that first player to die, don't forget. So that's going to be the Ram drones that can no longer be tossed out. They got a couple in through the skylight and whatnot, but it is still limited on the soft breaching that you have. DarkZero will have to hope that they can hide from these Vert angles long enough to stall out this push and eventually try to deny this 4v4.
Ashen has spent so much of this round outside. It's time to get into the building and do some business. He's once again holding that, or was holding that cut angle from above, working very effectively to take care of Newers and Kino in those spots over top of the laundry hatch. Savage has somehow found an opening to get the defuse kit at the halfway point. It's in the common spot. Ashen takes care of NJR. Fultz unable to handle one of his own. Newers on the board. Diffuser takes care of Fultz. DZ suffering yet again. M80 exploiting a blind spot that DZ had in their defenses, forcing Newers to take some fire damage as he retakes the bomb site. That diffuse kit a little out of reach. Paying off effectively, those air jabs from Ashen have given them info on Kino as he trudges his way, disabled by those track stingers deployed by Diffuser. Newers now hops on the case. 15 seconds to go. Kino over top. Finally, Kino gets a kill. Newers with one as well, but they're going to have to hop on that case. Newers off of it, past the point of no return. Ashen takes out the trash, and M80 is steamrolling DZ.
A bit close for comfort, but hey, that is such a strong post plant for the attackers, and Ashen in the perfect position clutches it up there in the 1v2. Really well done from M80, again, dominating here on Cafe. I'm a little surprised that NJR was not able to deny that plant going down. He is no doubt the best Tachanka player in the world, but we don't see it very often there on that bomb site. It's not something that he's maybe as practiced with as he is maybe on Clubhouse, and because of that, he's not able to stop the plant going down. This post plant so difficult for the defense to win, even in the 1v2. Ashen plays that perfect. Oh, and they're feeling themselves now, Parker. That is a momentum that has been really swung in the other direction. Already halfway done in terms of the rounds they need to win on this map for M80. DarkZero spiraling out of control.
Timeout's already been called as well. That's your proverbial parachute that's used to slow the descent. And right now, there is no slow descent for DarkZero. It is a straight plummet at this point. They did, to their credit, draw blood first on rounds 3 and 4. So they are at least setting themselves up in the early portions of the round for success. But it's those mid to late rounds where typically we see DZ flourish that they're falling short. When you've got people like Ashen dropping 8 kills, 6 from Diffuser, combined being far more than DZ has as an entire team. Again, it really just comes down to fragging power, and J90 has been the guy who's fallen off for this particular map. Again, he's been top frag and top rated player for the entirety of this series, and it is a terrible time for him to see a regression in those stats. So DarkZero hanging on for dear life. You got to escape this first half and prevent M80 from running up the score even further.
Yeah, like it's been Ashen and Diffuser hitting some crazy shots, and it's also being empowered by, I think, really good play by the supports around them. The late round calling has been excellent from M80. They always seem like they know what DarkZero want to do in the late rounds, and they're perfectly countering the way that DZ are trying to play on these defenses. Feels like the read is absolutely perfect for them, and as we get into yet another top floor clear, we'll see if that does continue. The vert pressure has been so good when they get this control, and Diffuser, he is in deep early. They all just fall back, actually. Parker, this is a really early fallback from DZ. They're scared.
And I think for good reason, with the way M80 is shooting, and Ashen now sitting at 9 kills, 1 death, punishing Newers. Newers has been the most formidable foe that M80's had to deal with on this DZ roster, and now he's gone from action. This is not a great start for DarkZero, especially since we just said they got first blood in the previous 2 rounds. DZ in familiar territory, unfortunately, Jesse. They're battling from behind.
This is crazy pace. Ashen just drops into laundry. He's all by himself. He's got some teammates maybe backing him up too, but takes these gunfights and finds the wrong end of a shotgun. Kino will put to bed that first burst of aggression, but that shows the confidence M80 are playing with right now.
Confidence, or maybe a bit carefree? Could be a little bit of column A, a little bit of column B. NJR with a nitro cell to keep things intact for his team. Gavin trades Kino right off on White Stairs. DZ will lose some of the panels leading into the A-bomb site. It'll be NJR quarterbacking this push, or this defense to stop the push. So he's got a long-range sight, and that TCSG, as long as you can control the recoil and hit your first shot or 2, you can do some serious damage. Great ball knowledge there from Savage as he gets it down through the wall, and has another whose leg he sees of J90, trapped and isolated over by Red Stairs. NJR down for the count. He's secured. Gavin will get picked back up. M80 with the numbers advantage with just 20 seconds to go. Flash is going out. DZ completely blind as the defuse kit getting planted by Gavin. Bolts down below with a shotgun in hand. No nitro cell, so no way to stop this in its tracks. The round will get prolonged as J90's return to the bomb site heralded by Diffuser, and Fultz finds himself in a spot he was in just a couple rounds ago, on the wrong floor with the defuse kit down. His team by the wayside, and Diffuser will bury him. 5-0 M80.
To answer the question you posed earlier, Parker, that is pure confidence. M80, they know exactly where they're at in this game, taking full control. Just knowing that these guys are playing scared, DarkZero are giving up so much of that map control, and sometimes M80 don't even need to fight for it. It's a really good opening pick from Ashen to take down Newers. He maybe overheats a little bit hunting for Kino, but he gets information that his teammate then follows up on. Like, even if Ashen does go down in that round, he's confident that his teammates can back him up, and he's been doing such an amazing amazing job of breaking these rounds open for M80. In the 3v3, 2 players are stuck on the bottom floor. That's not a good spot for DarkZero. They give up so much map control, and it just puts them in a really rough spot to actually be able to win these rounds. You've got 2 players down below. Fultz had a nitro, but he wasted it, didn't get any value from it downstairs, so it just feels like these DarkZero guys, they're too afraid to fight for some of these spots, so they're giving up a lot of map control for free, and when you give up map control to M80, man, they just have a field day running away with it.
5 seconds left.
I think everybody's been pretty well aligned saying North America is a deeply competitive region and all of the rest of the world should be put on notice. Just to stop my thoughts here for 1 second, as J90 was hoping for a spawn peek through the delivery door. Players spawned in there on the side of M80, and now Jack will turn his attention towards that whiskey window by Brown Stairs. He's got his hands full. He can do some serious damage with that DMR, but those 11 bullets in the mag will go by in a hurry. I think this really should put to rest that there is a best team in North America. DZ looks dominant some days, M80 looking dominant today. Who knows what version of Wildcard will show up in the grand finals up against one of these teams. Ashen's surely typing. Nope.
For a moment he was. I think he thought better of it.
You got 10 kills. What more can you say that your kill total's not already saying?
Yeah, that's going to be a really important pick, Jen. I know you mentioned it was going for those spawn peaks. That feels like desperation spawn peaks to me, Parker. There's still some rumors up on the top floor for DarkZero. They've got NJR creeping up at this window as well. Might have a timing here, but has to fall back as these Bs build and reveal his location. Newers and Fultz still roaming here on the top floor, so plenty of pressure from DarkZero, but they're getting picked apart. Fultz 1 in 6 now as he falls in the roam game, leaves Newers all alone. Newers has to get a couple kills here, otherwise this game might just be wrapped.
Newers is the only real bright spot on this team at the moment. NJR's been doing some tough work. He's gone. Gavin with the kill. Kino still standing and waiting against Ashen. He will take care of him and secure the kill, which is pretty decent on his end of things. But that's really the only thing that you can credit DarkZero for at this current point in time. Sloppiness from Diffuser. How does he not hear Newers coming? Gavin does, though. A 3rd kill for Gavin on the round, and now all the remaining players of M80 will be hunting down Kino, where Gavin picks up a 4K, and it's a perfect 6-0 half for M80 already on match point.
I feel like I've been here before. M80 absolutely stomping DarkZero on Cafe, 1 round away from a flawless. We were here, I don't know, 3 weeks ago in a very similar spot, asking the question, can DZ make this comeback? Right now, I don't know if we have an answer, Lax.
I'm going to be completely honest. I mean, nothing changes but the weather for the side of M80. I mean, we saw it the last time they did it on their defense. It was a 6-0 half, and this time they did it on their attack. They just need 1 defensive round to put the nail in the coffin, but something to be highlighted, especially when we talk about listening in on comms. This is really the first time where I've heard DarkZero kind of just sound dead in the water. You notice it as well. And M80 is absolutely riding that momentum from the last series and bringing it into this map.
Yeah, it's very clear. I mean, the comms are just dead. We've heard from Call Out in their timeout. It was his attempt to try to wake up the boys, and they're just not responding right now. I mean, that's 13 straight rounds for M80 on Cafe. I think we know who the best Cafe team is in the NAL, and this is a map that I also think we own as a region, so just a little glaze right there. But and what's kind of been the story for M80? I mean, Ashen's finally getting some help. I mean, he's having a great game by himself, but Diffuser, yeah, I mean, Diffuser, even though they call him D, his real name is Aiden. I apologize to you right now because we called him out map 1, and he's been popping off ever since. Gaveni, we already know what he could do. He's also alive and well, and they're having a lot of fun right now. I mean, yeah, the momentum is very strong for M80.
It seems like they cannot be stopped. It's like every little thing that's going well in the round falls their favor. Like, the momentum is something we talk a good bit about, but here it is on display at a level that we don't normally see.
I mean, no, definitely not. But for the side of DarkZero, it starts with any single round to amount to comeback. And the reality is they have to have rounds similar to the rounds that M80 had, even in round 2, where Savage wins that big 1v1. That instills the momentum for them to continue what's happening. Now, they need to have rounds like that for DarkZero that they can get behind. They can look like all things were lost. They miraculously win the round. They start feeding into that, and then it starts instilling hope. And that's the last thing you want to give a team like DarkZero is the hope, the chance that they can believe in themselves, which is why I'm emphasizing that M80 really needs to put the nail in the coffin here on their defense and just shut it out and not give them a chance.
Yeah, you need that. I mean, they're a big mental team. You need them to be able to close their eyes, meditate right now, and say it's 0-0. It's a brand new half. And what was Call Out saying during the halftime? Don't be slaves to the outcome, right? That seems to be their motto kind of going into this second half is who cares what the outcome, who cares what the score is right now? They're still playing. It's time to have fun, like Kino says. There's always a chance.
And I really want to give respect to M80. I mean, this was the bounce back. This was the resurgence that we wanted to see from them, because for myself, I was pretty disappointed in what we saw throughout all of playoffs, but now they look all awake. They're playing in unison. It's exactly the M80 that we want to see potentially going into a grand final.
Well, I mean, they're clearly feeling good. And for DarkZero, I know they don't like talking about the narrative. I know they don't like thinking about results, but how can you not be replaying in your head that feeling of being 7-0'd on this very map just a couple of weeks ago? All they need is one round to prevent that.
DarkZero in the last 2.5 years have only lost 7-0 across multiple different rosters a single time. Parker, that was 2 weeks ago versus M80 on this very map, and now repeating the circumstances against the same opponent on the same map, they could be facing another 7-0 loss.
A devastating position to be in. These teams have qualified for EWC, which for many was the ultimate goal of Stage 1. The only team that isn't playing today that also qualified for EWC is Shopify Rebellion. They were eliminated by DarkZero in a 2-0 yesterday. You and I actually casted that game, and it was DZ just demolishing them. All of these teams have been very good, and I will go back to a point that I said, even if DZ falls flat on their face and loses 7-0 here, something that is a historically bad result for the squad, they're still a great team. They still just won a major championship, and there's no reason to believe that they will be weaklings when it comes to the Esports World Cup in Paris next month. And seeding obviously was the big concern for the previous matchup because Shopify Rebellion lost in the lower brackets yesterday. They are the team that will have to play through phase 1 of EWC, or whatever specific wording, phase 1, stage 1, whatever interchangeable word they use to describe it.
Phase 1 is correct.
Thank you. I know.
You're losing a lot of Habana X Kairos here, Parker. NJR has just wasted 12 of those 18 pellets, so they're not able to break open these mirror windows. A lot of Util being committed to this, and now Gavin blows the head off of NJR.
Oh.
It's all falling apart. Kino goes down. It's a 5v3 advantage for M80, hoping to close this one out in style.
Changing mags.
Well, any hope on the side of DZ might have just gone up with that Nitro Cell and kill coming in. Nears is going to be quick to the punch. If you can catch one of these players from M80 off guard, there might be an opening shot. No, Gavin and Gunnar with 2 kills, and with a minute 20 still on the clock, it's all up to Fultz. M80's at a bevy of flawless rounds. They won't have one this time, as Fultz takes care of Diffuser. Ashen hits the GG in chat. No hope whatsoever that the former world champion of Fultz will be able to clutch a 1v5. It would require an ace, an impressive set of mistakes would need to be committed by M80 to give Fultz that window of opportunity. At this point, I mean, you're just kind of delaying the inevitable. Fultz knows what's happening, and yeah.
No defuse kit either, so he can't even go for a plant. If he does get site control, it's down to cross the map on the mid floor.
I mean, we can try to hype this up, but we all know what the end result is going to be here, right? You be honest with the people. M80 will square off against Wildcard as Fultz looks to come to blows, looking towards the B-bomb site. M80 giving him no quarter whatsoever. Gavin, the final kill, and M80 7-0 DarkZero on map 3. They'll square off against Wildcard in the grand finals. Up next.